who knew I would make it this far. They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitted for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this, go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play the same. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get dangerous. Cause it can get dangerous. Cause it can get dangerous. Ay, please don't play no games with me. I promise I'm too much. Ay, I can never let up even if you had enough. Ay, this ain't for the faint of heart. We always playing rough. I had enough, it ain't luck. I needed a vision, I needed ambition, I needed a mission to beat in submission with no intermission. I see the collision, the crash in the distance, they coming off track, no. Now when they ask what's the motive, don't talk, I just show them. They all about to see what I mean in the moment. I gotta keep going, I'm shaking the dice and I'm keeping it rolling, they already know. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play so. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get dangerous. Cause it can get dangerous. Cause it can get dangerous. Yeah. Gotta aim for the top like, hold up, yeah. I can never doubt myself, I know better. All of you critics be acting like you know better. Blowing the smoke, but I know when the dust settles that I'm in my element. It's evident that there's levels to the game. All of those dark nights I got then, breaking my back to make it out, got me feeling like rain. I ain't never need your help, I know you wishing me well. A penny for your thoughts, but seeing no change. I snap for the sun like Diddy. The riches got a mad ass son, I'm like Billy. I ain't never switch up, whole team with me. Putting on for my city like OAGZ. Set the pace as long as you finish. Consumers find a way inside your business. Babble if they try to dabble in it and they hate the fact that they may have to witness. You tryna aim for the top like this and you're in your element with a fire like this. And they hoping you fall and they praying you miss. But it's all in the risk, I got you with the switch, you know. I'm in the zone, give me the throne. One shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know. Foot on the gas, 155 on the road. You could be a friend of me, an enemy. Keep that same old energy, cause I know I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. I'm in my element, I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. Keep that same energy. I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. I'm in my element, flow is like water. I'm forced through the fire, I'm feeling like gold. Gotta stay grounded, stay down to earth, following God and you grinding, you do as you told. I don't work to make you like me, but I'm front and center, word to Spike Lee. And God came in the nick of time. They think I'm crazy, but I might be. Let's run it up, run it up, run it up. We beating the odds just to sum it up. You know it's a rap, never waistlines, and I'm cutting the weight like a tummy tuck. That mean I'm about to give it out right now. You see what's coming down the line, I never pipe down. I give 100% of me, trying to stun on my enemies. In my element is crazy as that might sound. I'm in the zone, give me the throne. One shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know. Foot on the gas, 155 on the road. You could be a friend of me, an enemy. Keep that same old energy, cause I know I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. I'm in my element, I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. Keep that same energy. I'm in my element. Never switch up, never switch up, never switch up, never switch up. Never switch up, never switch up, never switch up. Keep that same energy. Never switch up. I'm in my element.
Yeah. We tapped in. I had to hit that mute button. I had to hit that mute button. Shout out to everybody in the building. What up, though? What up, though? It's Sunday Fun Day. Recap. Time to recap yesterday's events. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to everybody in the building. I know we're creeping in here. I know there's a couple of other lives going on at the same exact time, man. Shout out to all the other creators in the space, keeping this boxing thing alive. Guys, we are the final frontier when it comes to this boxing media space, right? The creators on YouTube and things of that nature. Shout out to Showbiz. Shout out to Ness over at the Boxing Voice. Shout out to my brother Blue Blood Sports TV. Shout out to Champ Side, right? Shout out to all the creators who are controlling the narratives, who are speaking and offering platforms for the fans to be able to gather on and keep up with what's going on in the boxing space. And of course, shout out to the ATP Combat Media family, right? You guys make this the best place to be. Every time we pop up, always addressing the elephant in the room, always speaking our minds here, and it's a free space, right, for free thinkers. So I appreciate you guys supporting the grind, being here. And you could be anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me, right? So salute to all you guys, man. Shout out to all you guys. A round of applause for all the community keeps us going. Shout out to all you guys, man. You guys keep it going and keep it worthwhile. You keep it worthwhile for somebody like me. You know what I mean? I appreciate you guys more than you could imagine, man. Last night was a great night of boxing. I mean, listen, man, if you were entertained, you were entertained. We got a lot of things to talk about, right? We saw somebody from the home team in the ring last night. Shout out to Coach Hector Bermudez. Shout out to Hernandez. Shout out to Teofimo Lopez, right, for being able to pull off what he did last night and become a 3-division world champion, right? 135, 140, 147, right? He's picked up a WBA title. We got to talk about that. Last night was an emotional night, a little bit of a letdown, right? When we watched the Rolly Romero's performance. And, shout out to the panel who came up and, was holding me accountable and saying, listen, man, we're talking about Rolly so much. We forgot about the elephant in the room. And what about Teo, man? What about Teo's efforts? What about what Teo did last night? We saw Teo battle against adversity last night. He had a cut early in the fight. He got hit with a left hook around the fourth or fifth round. You know what I mean? Got on his spaghetti legs, you know what I'm saying? Had to bite down on that gum shield and really show and prove who he was. So we definitely going to celebrate Teofimo today, talk about Teofimo becoming a champion. We'll talk about that impact that it has on the 147-pound division now that we have Teofimo Lopez up there as a champion. Now when we're looking at the landscape of things with Devin Haney holding that WBO title, Ryan Garcia holding that WBC title, and, Liam Paro floating out there with that IBF title as well, how does the division look? Also the rankings, right, beneath all these titles, when you talk about the Rohan Polancos, when you talk about the Raul Curiels, right? When you're talking about the Tiger Johnsons, right? Even the Keyshawn Davises, the Brian Norman Juniors, right? All these fighters that are also in the conversation of trying to make 147 great again, right? Shout out to the 147-pound division being great again. You know what I mean?
Listen, that's called motherfucking bars, nigga.
We got
nothing about that.
We got to talk about the 160-pound division as well, right? On the back end of Yoeli Hernandez doing what he's done. He's in the conversations of becoming a champion. I mean, it's about time for Yoeli, but is it about time? Is it early for Yoeli? 10 to 11 professional fights into his career right now. I mean, Yoeli Hernandez once looked at, some people still look at as the boogeyman of the 160-pound division. Last night got in the ring with a very game opponent, right? And Daniel Verone, right? I think that's his name. Is it Daniel Verone? Don't quote me. I know his last name is Verhone, right? I don't know if I got his first name correct. Maybe that's his middle name. I don't know, right? But listen, man, a very formidable opponent in Verhone last night, giving Yoeli Hernandez all he can handle, right? We saw a performance and very similar to Jaron Boots Ennis and his performance against a Karen Kukudajin. People saw some holes in his game, saw some opportunities in there, and I wonder if the rest of the division sees it the same way. Does the Aaron McKenna's, does the Denzel Bentleys, of the Arislandi Laras of the division, does the Carlos Adamises of the division? How does the Jahai Tuckers, Amari Joneses of the division, the Vito Melneckis of the division, all these other 160-pound guys who are in the conversation of leading the way, Jalil Hackett, right, of leading the way of this new era, new generation of 160-pound future champions, right? As we're watching the 160-pound division stir up slowly to become one of those divisions again, right? It's been kind of lackluster for the past year and a half or so, 2 years. Really, let's be honest, ever since Jamal Charlo, right, you know what I'm saying, kind of like walked away from 160 and kind of went into his mental space, his little mental hiatus, the division just hasn't been quite the same, right? And we've seen champions like Carlos Adames step up and be elevated and, show his version of a dominating presence, right? We've seen him, beat Hamza Shiraz or go to a draw with Hamza Shiraz, however you want to look at it. We've watched Jahai Tucker shake it up a little bit in his last couple of performances, specifically in his last performance against Yuri Cerdano, look really just high level, right? Just showed that there's levels to this game. We watched Amari Jones shake it up as well, and show his presence in the division. We watch certain fighters really just show improve, like they're there to be champions, right? And even Jaleel Hackett on the back end of a fight against Sergey Derevchenko. So Yoeli Hernandez has been in that conversation as a potential boogeyman, and we've got additions to the division now. Rumor has it Xander Zayas, right, that he would be coming to 160 after his last fight against against Jerome Boots Ennis. Sorry about that. And of course, Tim Tszyu just had a victory as well over Errol Spence Jr. and rumors of Virgil Ortiz Jr. making his way into the division. So we got to talk about that as well. We got to talk about what 160 looks like and what do we think about Yoeli Hernandez. I do have some guests that should be coming up on the show today. Coach Hector Bermudez should be stopping by today to give his perspective. You guys know that's who was in the corner of Yoeli Hernandez. So we'll have Coach Hector Bermudez up here a little bit later speaking on, what it looked like down there. I mean, what he saw in the fighter, what he thought in his own fighter, and what he thought of the performance, and maybe he might even share with us some things he plans on improving on, or give some honest opinions on how he felt about the judges as far as the decisions that were made on the judges' cards on that fight and things of that nature, right? Gary Antonio Russell last night. Gary Antonio Russell last night, one of the Gary Russell brothers, really put on a masterclass performance last night against what is this? Is it Kevin Santillan or Kurt Kinson? I can't remember his first name. I want to say it's Kevin Santillan, but I could be wrong, right? It is what it is. But at the end of the day, he put on a masterclass performance against a somewhat pressure come forward fighter, right? A pressure come forward fighter. A lot of clinching going on in there, a lot of close range activity going in there. But Gary Antonio Russell showing this levels to this game as well, being very active inside of that clinch, right? Inside of those tie-ups, working a lot of great body work, a lot of short hooks, a lot of control of the pace of the fight behind that jab, really able to just neutralize Santillan in a way that, and I showed how high level that Russell family is and how deep that bag goes when it comes to being able to adjust and make those moves, working in there, turning Santillan, making the space up in there to get those shots to the body. Working just a masterclass. And there's conversations now about what do we have to look forward to now at 122 pounds with Gary Antonio Russell. We know that is Monster Inoue's division. And I don't know if we're expecting Monster Inoue to fight Gary Antonio Russell. I don't think that's the case. It looks like Monster Inoue is in another chapter of his career right now where he's looking to make the biggest and the most expensive fights possible, right? He's looking for legacy and the money, right? And Gary Antonio doesn't necessarily check those boxes, as Monster Inoue's in the conversations of potentially making super fights with the Bam Rodriguez's and potentially going up to 126 and doing things in that division against the Shushu Carringtons in the division, right? And maybe even the Rafael Espinosas or the Angela Leos and et cetera, right? Inside of that 126 division potentially, but not talking about Gary Antonio Russell. But that being said, Gary Antonio Russell did pick up an interim WBA title last night. So that does make a difference there, right? Does kind of put him in line for an opportunity sooner rather than later on the back end of whatever Monster Inoue decides to do. And even Bam Rodriguez, right? If Monster Inoue does go up to 126 pounds, look, there'll be some belts that are vacated, right? There'll be some belts vacated at 122. There'll be some opportunities for maybe some elevation for Gary Antonio, or maybe he fights for that WBA title against, the current 118 WBA champion in Bam Rodriguez, right? We can talk about that as well, as Bam Rodriguez has made it clear that he's looking to make his moves, right? Robert Garcia has already spoken about Bam going up as far as 126 or higher than that, like that not being an issue. So maybe Bam looks at the big money opportunities. At 118, obviously there's an opportunity there for him to fight, Takuma Inoue or things of that nature. But also at 122, there are opportunities there to fight a Nakatani, right? So is that a great intro? Is that the kind of fight that would intrigue a Bam Rodriguez? If you would go up to 122 and Monster Inoue was not there, could that be a fight that intrigues Bam Rodriguez to potentially fight a Gary Antonio Russell? And what does that fight look like if it comes full circle to fruition? that might be an exciting fight, stylistically speaking, right? The Russells have always been part of great fights. You know, when you think about Gary Antoine Russell, when you think about Gary Russell Jr., you know what I'm saying? Those are just, you know, that's just a special cloth when it comes to the boxing space. As far as boxing families are concerned, they've really made a real name for themselves in the game, right? You know what I mean? It is what it is. I see that Castro says Devin can't take these shots on the backbone or jaw to be a super champ. Oh, you know, okay, he's knocking Devin a little bit, but you know, conversations about Devin Haney definitely going to be there as well, possibly in the show today, because Devin Haney is still looking for a dance partner, right? This is a fact. You know, Bill Haney went up on the Versace show, and you know, he's out there campaigning. He's trying to sell the space, the fans of the space, in a big Devin Haney fight, saying, listen, man, what do you guys want? We want to put on the biggest fights. They want the biggest paydays, clearly. But, you know, now with this new deal they have with DAZN, what does that deal? We've talked about that in depth here. What is that deal in detail? And what does it take for what boxes need to be checked for DAZN to become interested in a Devin Haney fight? Not only for the pay that Devin Haney's asking for, but also, you know, when the opponents can get the pay they want, right? Everybody's looking for life-changing money now, that there is somewhat of a war going on in these boxing promotional network streets between DAZN and Zuffa Boxing and Paramount, and the promoters like Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy and Zuffa Boxing and Dana White, right? There's a war going on outside, right? And no fighter and no network is safe from, right? As there's bidding wars going on probably in the background for some of the biggest fighters that are in the game, whether it's David Benavidez, whether it was Teofimo Lopez, who went with DAZN, whether it was Shakur Stevenson, who ended up going to Zuffa Boxing, whether it'll be Devin Haney, who seemingly has gone to DAZN, or, you know, any of the other potential candidates that are out there for big network deals, right? But only, what are these network deals built around? They're built around the potential opportunities for the biggest fights being made. And we're watching Devin Haney kind of struggle a little bit in making the biggest fights, right? We don't know exactly where the pressure is coming from, whether it's coming from DAZN not wanting to get involved in certain kind of fights, or whether it's the opponents who are, you know, leave it to the space. The opponents are just scared of Devin Haney. That may very well be possible as well. Or you know, maybe is Devin Haney too expensive? Is that what the problem is? I don't know, right? But obviously it's easier said than done when it comes to making these big, huge fights. We're watching Virgil Ortiz Jr. as well make some consideration to moving up to 160 on the back end of how difficult it is seeming to be for him to make the biggest fights at 154 right now. I know we have a lot of opinions in the space about Virgil Ortiz's position in that conversation. You know, there were rumored opportunities for Virgil Ortiz to make fights with Xander Zayas, for example. And Xander invited Virgil Ortiz, come out to Puerto Rico, come out, you know, let's make these fights happen. And, you know, maybe Virgil Ortiz's team wanted a little bit better treatment and wanted to fight somewhere where they considered it more neutral, right? Maybe Vegas or Texas or somebody they felt like they had a bigger fan base and that they can help sell the event a lot better over in the boxing mecca in Las Vegas. And maybe Xander wasn't trying to hear that as well, right? Xander was trying to do his homecoming in Puerto Rico. He wanted to defend his title and unify his title as a champion should, and didn't want to, you know, concede or bend the knee to the terms of a team Virgil Ortiz, you know, Oscar De La Hoya, Rick Meridian, all the people who have vested interest in what Virgil Ortiz has going on, right? So there are those conversations, but now in the present moment, if we can leave those in the history where it's at right now, Virgil is in a very interesting position to where these fights don't seem to be available anywhere anymore, being that Xander has moved on to 160, lost his two titles to Jaron Boots Ennis. Now Jaron Boots Ennis interested in unifying and continuing to pursue his pursuit of being undisputed right in the division. We've got Josh Kelly, who's also looking to get a big payday on that belt. He wants to get the biggest fight possible. We saw him look kind of pedestrian in his last fight, just a little pedestrian, not too much. He's still a high-level fighter, an Olympian, right? But, you know, maybe he's taking into consideration his paydays and his opportunities, and he doesn't want to take any more unnecessary title defenses or risk, some might consider, to take those fights. So he's interested in unifying and not fighting a Virgil Ortiz. Sebastian Fundora and the PBC now with this new relationship with DAZN, it seems like they're interested in making the biggest fights as well. Are they interested in giving Virgil Ortiz, who is the interim WBC title holder, an opportunity of becoming a champion over potentially unifying and making a big big payday against Josh Kelly or Jerron Boots Ennis or whatever have you, right? And they have a fight coming up soon as well. So it's either, Virgil takes another build-up, tune-up fight against, let's say, Charles Conwell or something like that, or does he leverage whatever he has as far as an interim champion, as far as whatever his notoriety is, to make himself a bigger payday at the 160 division or a bigger opportunity? It's a time for Virgil Ortiz to become a champion already. So if he has an opportunity to fight an Erislandy Lara or, walking into any title shot opportunities, if he can leverage that into a big fight and a big payday at 160, should he move in that direction, right? As the space splits in half with opinions on it, right? Some people are okay with Virgil saying, hey, man, go chase the opportunity. Other people are like, no, you're ducking. Stay at 154. Do what you got to do. Fight a tune-up fight. Keep yourself available. Be patient. We got to see how that plays out as well. We got a lot of things to talk about today, obviously, right? I could do this all day long. Shout out to everybody who's in the building, man. Let me go ahead and do a little roll call before we get the show going here, man. Joe Uso in the building, man. So let's go, Uso. What's good, Joe? Shout out to my guy, Joe Uso in the building, man. Salute, salute, salute. Deluxe Recordings, also known as Ra Ali, in the building with the yo. Yo, what's good? What's good? What's good, family? Lewis Bay in the building, 5977 says Rolly sold out. We'll talk about the Rolly performance. That's for sure, and that's for certain. I was a little bit emotional last night when it came to the Rolly Romero conversation. I was very disappointed, to say the least, in Rolly Romero. I think, I would say from what it looked like from the outside looking in, his team wasn't that excited or happy with what he did as well, right? Ishmael Salas, struggled with Rolly Romero last night, trying to get him to let his hands go, try to get him to be just a little bit more aggressive. Didn't want him to be over aggressive. If you guys watched the video I made on the breakdown on this fight, I said that Rolly was going to have to be patient but not passive, right? Patient but not passive. He was going to have to take his time and find his shots, but don't in the middle of that become passive. And I think Rolly Romero jumped into the passive conversation last night. He became a very passive fighter, right? Very what's the word? What do they call the people who don't like a pacifist of sorts, right? Didn't really want to get into the wars, get into the exchanges with Teofimo Lopez, was looking for that one shot that was going to get him to the promised land. And that one shot came once or twice, maybe three times in the fight. And, when he did take that shot, he was able to hurt Teofimo Lopez at different times in the fight, but he wasn't consistent enough in the fight to make it a difference. We'll talk about that, right? Because Rolly would probably disagree with everything I'm saying right now, as he feels he was controlling the fight. He feels Teofimo wasn't hitting him with any significant shots. He feels like he didn't get hurt. He refers to Teofimo's face, the bleeding, the swelling. In comparison to his face, he looked like he was ready to go to the club, right? Ready to hit a runway or something, right? Didn't look like he was that hurt. But the activity might have done him dirty. Not might have. I think factually at this point, hindsight says the activity hurt Rolly Romero. We'll talk about that, right? Did Rolly sell out last night, or did he just he was a very confident player. He really thought he had that win, didn't he? It was very interesting to watch him be very disappointed. That frown on his face, he was very disappointed in that decision last night, and I'm not too sure where that came from. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. Like, where did that come from, Rolly? Where did all that confidence in the judges seeing it your way after 12 rounds of inactivity and just, throwing less than, maybe 10 to 15 punches around and landing, 3 to 5 out of those punches? You know what I mean? Like, where did that victory come from? I don't know. Really thought he had it. Shout out to Akeem Blake in the building, says peace allowed until serenity exists. Play guidance and blessings. Boxing, boxing, boxing. No doubt, man. Salute, salute, salute. Salute to you, Akeem. Mine yours in the building says, salute Claymore the Rain Man. You have to talk about how delusional Rolly is talking about Shakur. He did the same. Yeah, he really belonged on a slow bus. All these fighters must be infatuated with court. Yeah. And that was an interesting take by Rolly Romero. Mine yours. It was an interesting take that he thought that, that what he was showcasing was his version of, I guess, a high IQ, a good defense. I guess was he trying to match wits with a Devin Haney, match wits with a Shakur Stevenson? Was he trying to entertain it? There was a guy who gave a performance like that before who said that he was trying to show his boxing acumen in Deontay Wilder, right? When he fought against Joseph Parker, right? A fight where all of a sudden he was moving weird and he wasn't engaging, and he called himself, I guess, boxing, quote unquote, and just got watch Joseph Parker pitch a shutout against a fighter who just looked like a fish out of water the whole entire night. Decided to change the color of his stripes in the ninth inning, right? All of a sudden in the biggest show, He was not the big puncher, Rolly Romero. He was not, the awkward, athletic, twitchy muscle fighter that we know as Rolly Romero. He all of a sudden was Shakur Stevenson. It was very interesting to watch him do that for 12 rounds and then explain it by saying that somebody else who was at a high level pound-for-pound fighter has done the same thing. Really? So, I don't know. When I watched the fight last night, I did not think about Shakur Stevenson. That's not what came to my mind. When I watched that performance, I didn't go, you know what? Rolly is moving and controlling the range, and he can't be hit. He's the highest level. He's the best defensive fighter in boxing, man, pound for pound. I didn't hear that. That's not how I felt about the performance, but we'll talk about it, man. And look, we'll open up the link as well for the panel to come up and talk about it as well a little bit later as well, right? Manyor says, and did you speak on the Bill interview with Mr. Versace? Not yet. Cord number 1 on his list and Key on it. Still at number 3. That man is corny. Is a corny ass used car salesman with ketchup for a prop. Like Dev still don't have a opponent or a fight. I did see the interview. We will talk about that, right? I did see the interview. And clearly Bill is still on that campaign trail. And that's how I look at these things, right, guys? I look at these things whenever I see Bill Haney on media, I think he's selling something, right? And that's not an insult to Bill Haney. That's just about being honest about what I see when I see Bill Haney online, whether I see him on the Boxing Voice, whether I see him on the Fight Hype, whether I see him on Inside the Ring, whether I see him on Mr. Versace, wherever I see him, if he's on Mill City, if I see him on media, even on Instagram, on his Instagram saying something, he's 9 out of 10 times selling something. Bill Haney has his life outside of boxing, where when it comes to his kids and his family and whatever he's doing, that he's very, I don't want to say secretive about, but he keeps that close to his chest. But when it comes to this boxing game and it comes time to sell a fight or be about this boxing game, he has the other character that steps up. And that character jumps up in the social media space and gets the crowd riled up, and he stirs the pot and he challenges opinions and ideas. And more importantly, he sells his fighter, Devin Haney, as being the best fighter in the world, and he sells potential fights, right? He comes up with a list. He talks about a Keyshawn. He'll talk about a Jerron Butenis. He'll talk about a Jack Catterall, right? He'll talk about a Shakur Stevenson. He'll stir the pot and see where, almost like a squeegee board. He'll close his eyes and he'll just allow the energy to move his hands and find out what the audience wants and what his highest potential payday is going to be. He shops with the money. He shops with Turkey Al-Sheikh. He shops with DAZN, the network. He shops with potentially a Dana White and Zupa Boxing. He shops. He looks for that opportunity, and that's what he's doing in real time. So what was he doing on Mr. Versace? What was that all about on the back end of a Keyshawn Davis negotiation falling to shit, not working out? And not because of him and Devin, of course. Keyshawn Davis is the one. We've called them out on here already with the DuckTales music, right, guys? We've called out the DuckTales music on Keyshawn Davis and how diabolical that was for him to walk away from an opportunity to become a 2-division champion and get a signature fight on his record like Devin Haney. We talked about all that, right? But at the same time, we also talked about, well, what does that leave Devin and Bill now if Keyshawn isn't the fight that is getting made? Is that what the DAZN network wanted to get involved with? If they're not able to pull that off, then what's the backup plan? We've heard rumors of Liam Paro and Jack Catterall, but both fighters have complained about offers not being sent over to them. They have not received offers from the Haneys or the DAZN network, right? That's what they're saying, right? We don't know what's really going on, but they're like, hey, we're ready for the fight, but we haven't got any offers. What's holding up the offers on these fights, especially on a unification fight with Liam Paro, right? I don't know. I don't know, man. We just maybe we will never know. Maybe we'll never know, right? But then again, time is a very interesting thing, right? You give enough time to anything, they say the truth comes out of the dark and comes into the light at some point or another. Maybe we'll really find out what this whole entire DAZN network deal is all about, the structure of the deal, what's required of the deal. Teofimo Lopez has been very transparent about what that deal is. He says 4 fights, 20 million, all championships, unifications, undisputed. This is what my deal is about. So we know what his fights are. He said no title defenses, right? No title defenses. We're looking at making the biggest fights. Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, right? Even Liam Paro. Grab all them titles, lineal championships, legacy, right? So we know what Teofimo and them are looking for. What is Bill Haney and Devin Haney's deal with the DAZN network built around? Is it built around unifications as well? Is it built around cross promotion fights? Is it built over making the biggest fights with like a Shakur Stevenson, or is it built outside the division? Do they want to really see him against a Jaron Boots Ennis, maybe? Right? Do they want to see the best fights? What in details this business relationship partnership that the Haneys have with the DAZN? Right? We'll talk about that too. Why not, man? Hop up on the panel and give me your opinion on that, right? Shout out to everybody in the building. There's a link for the Discord as well. It's pinned up in the channel. Hit that link. Become part of the community. The Discord will be opened up as well. I'm still getting used to it and working with it, so I apologize to anybody who's hopped up on the Discord in the past and I haven't, pulled you all the way up. I'm still trying to deal with managing that, but it's still there. It's still there, and feel free to hit the link. And I'll try my best to pull you guys up on there. But obviously the StreamYard link will go out at some point or another as well to pull people up on the panel, man. Shout out to my brother BVO Sports TV in the building. BVO, what's good with you, family? Assalamu alaikum, family. Hope everything's good with you, King. Round one in the building. Round one in the building, man, with the salute, says Clay. That's another round one, not Edwin round one from the YouTube channel, but the original, I don't know who's the original round one. I want to start a round one war. Right, but shout out to the round one in the building, man. Mind yourselves, Yo-Yo has work to do. Super potential, but has work to do. We're going to talk about Yo-Yo's performance. You guys saw me last night. I didn't think that performance was that bad of a performance from Yoeli Hernandez last night. I really just didn't. I think he had a game opponent. I think some opponents can look bad. Marcos Maidana fought against Floyd Mayweather, and people thought that Marcos Maidana beat Floyd. They thought that Floyd didn't look as good as Floyd had to rematch him even, right? But those Argentinian fighters come forward, pressure fighters, man, make these fights difficult, can be awkward, depending on the performance that you want to give. Yo-Yo was a co-headliner on his first big card here, co-headlining underneath Teofimo and Rolly Romero. And, obviously wanted to put on a very exciting performance. So did Yo-Yo look bad, or were we watching a Yoeli Hernandez that was just taking chances, that was trying to entertain the crowd, that wasn't taking a step back, that was catching and shooting and dealing with an Argentinian fighter who's high volume style, pressure style, made it a little difficult for Yoeli Hernandez to get what he wanted to get off, as well as be as defensively responsible, or however you want to look at it, as people thought that he should be, or get that stoppage like people thought he should get the stoppage. He was hitting the Argentinian fighter with some good, clean, hard shots. And can we just give enough credit to that fighter and say that he was sturdy, that he was gritty, that he was durable, that he was tough, that he came to win, he didn't come to lay down? Are we able to take that angle, or does Yoeli Hernandez, is he supposed to just knock out Daniel Verhone? Is that fighter not supposed to even be able to make it in front of him, right? We watched Jaron Boots Ennis get the same kind of criticism after his Karen fight. We've seen even Jamel Charlo catch criticism on the back end of a Brian Castano fight, another Argentinian that took it all the way into a draw decision, right? And where they felt like Jamel Charlo fell off, he had to give him a rematch as well, just to kind of straighten that up. All those different things, right? I don't know. I wasn't disappointed in Yoeli Hernandez last night. I think he did his thing. I didn't know Yoeli was half Haitian. That was pretty interesting to find out when he came out with the shorts and a picture of his father on his shirt. I don't know if that was like a memorial on his shirt, or if that's just him respecting his father. But maybe I'm a little biased. Maybe my relationship with Coach Hector Bermudez is putting me in a little bit of a biased space. Maybe my objectivity is being affected a little bit by these relationships I have, whether it's being a Haitian as well, and resonating with that with the ancestry of Yoeli Hernandez, or maybe it's because of the relationship with Coach Hector Bermudez. Maybe I'm just rooting for Yoeli Hernandez, right? But we will open up. We'll put the link out there. I'm definitely interested in, since we've had about, a full day, almost not a full 24 hours to kind of get out of our feelings. I was a little irritable last night, right? A little too soon, right? A little tired. Maybe I've been on all day. We did an 8.5 hour live yesterday. Maybe that was part of it, right? Maybe today I could see things a little bit more clear today. Maybe I'll see it a little bit closer to how you guys seen it, right? It is what it is. Castro 16 and 27, Texas, or TX in the building, says super champion. Yeah, super champion. Make sure the community includes that title. And saw Rolly can't KO T.O. They seen T.O. stand up after getting hit flush and ain't go down. They know Devin would have folded. Okay, so it sounds like Castro, you're supporting Teofimo Lopez, and I think Teofimo Lopez. Shout out to all the Teofimo Lopez fans in the building. You guys got you a champion again, right? Teofimo, in some ways or another, did show redemption last night. You know, I mean, he did battle against adversity. Without a doubt, he got hit with a clean shot, and he came back from that shot and came back swinging, right? He came back, made the adjustments. He got hurt at the end of another round, maybe like round 7 or 8. I don't know what round it was when he got really hurt, but right at the end of the round, the bell rang. He got hurt again. So, yeah, he had some moments of adversity in the fight, and he showed what he would do in those moments, right? We saw Ryan Garcia keep his hands in his pockets once Rolly Romero hit him with that clean left hook. That's what we saw from Ryan Garcia. We didn't see that from Teofimo Lopez. We saw Teofimo Lopez bite down on his gum shield and grit and run, and weather the storm and still come out on the other side dominating and outclassing Rolly Romero for the remaining portion of that fight. So we got to give Teofimo his flowers, man. I got no problem doing that. Shout out to Castro 16 and 27 Texas, giving his opinions on that. Shout out to my brother Carlos Dixon in the building with the $5. $5 says the 147-pound division is going to get a little bit more interesting. Yeah, for sure, man. And that's another part of the conversation, right? Another part of this conversation is the division better off now with Teofimo Lopez holding that belt, right? And I'd have to say yes, right? Rolly Romero has been very, Rolly Romero has even thrown, whether he was trolling or not trolling, has thrown out retirement, right? Oh, I'm retiring. He's been elevated to a super champion. He didn't have to fight a Shakram Giasov. Jack Catterall had to wait on him to figure it out. And as he was hopped over by Teofimo Lopez, who was coming in off of a loss at 140 pounds. And that's the fight Rolly Romero decided to do. He didn't fight his mandatories. He didn't go for the unification. He the negotiations fell apart between him and Devin Haney. So is the division better? I think so. I think I'd rather see Teofimo Lopez as a champion at 147 pounds rather than look at Rolly Romero in the PBC, manipulate and protect and hurt the opportunities of the division unifying and becoming undisputed behind the politics of playing chess and playing games with titles and sanctioning bodies getting caught up in the corruption as well and the politics, payolas and all the other things involved and whatever fuels the reason behind why they don't force unifications, right? We just saw Mauricio Suleiman try to force a unification with David Benavidez and Noel McCallion, right? So right there, you see what the sanctioning bodies can do when they want to do it, right? But when they don't want to, they can play coy and they can watch Jamal Charlo carry a WBC title for almost 2 years and never even fight in the ring, inactivity, right? They'll watch Canelo Alvarez not have to fight a David Benavidez. They'll watch a Rolly Romero not have to defend against any mandatories, right? They watch a Mario Barrios just move around strategically and fight everybody except for a unification. Turn down a Jaron Ennis, turn down a Brian Norman Jr., turn down a Maniana Stanionis, all those different things, right? That's part of it. That's part of the game, I guess. Shout out to Castro 16-27. Texas has super champ and fatted. Rolly's power ain't go down. No doubt, no doubt. Let's continue to go down here. King Blake says, maybe fighting Inoue's little brother. He has a title as well for Ben. As well. Takuma, for sure. For sure, man. Yeah, round 1. Yeah, man. Rest in peace to them. So is it out now? That was the information I got last night. Somebody from the team gave me a call last night and put me on to the unfortunate news that Devin Haney did lose his mother, right? His mother passed away, and that's so tragic. I didn't want to break that out or speak on that without them making their formal announcement. But round 1 is hearing about it as well. I got the phone call yesterday in the middle of the live about that. Definitely sending out condolences to that family and giving them time to go ahead and figure it out. That being said, there's a chance that we might not see Devin Haney for the rest of 2026, right? Because on the back end of him figuring this out and properly mourning, are they really focused on making a fight right now? They focus on being in the middle of negotiations right now. I don't know. Right? Very unfortunate, man. Life is short, man. God bless, God bless that family. And rest in peace to Devin Haney's mother in the most sincere, genuine way, right? The most sincere, genuine way. Everything ain't boxing, some things is just realer than boxing. Some things are about family, and when it comes to family and things of that nature and the mother, I could only imagine, right? I'm almost 49 years old, and I'm almost 50 years old, and I almost, and I still got my mother, It's going to be very difficult when those conversations come about, I can only imagine how Devin Haney at 27 years old, 27, 28 years old, and how they're weathering that storm. You know what I mean? So God bless that family, man. I hope they figure it out, and I hope Devin Haney can come back from this strong and better. And you know, I don't want to say it like that, but right. Hope that this right here is something they can come through together. They have a great support system out there. That family holds it down. I'm sure Bill is playing his position, being the father that I know he is, and holding that family together, man. God bless the Haneys, man. God bless the Haneys, man. Edward Torres says, rest in peace, no doubt, man. Yeah. Round one says, I doubt he fights this year, 100%, man. Yeah, frequent in the building. My brother in the building hits me with the salams. Walaikum salam, rahmatullahi barakatuh, and my Aki Fly frequency in the building, man. Let's see here, going down to SOB TV in the building, says, salute, Claymore, blessings, brother. Salute, salute. HLD1 in the building with the salutes. What's up, man? Edward Torres says, Virgil Adames. Great fight, man. Virgil Ortiz versus Carlos Adames. Why not? I like Virgil Ortiz versus Yoanli Hernandez. What you guys think about that fight? I think that fight's an epic fight right there. Styles make fights, man. Deluxe says, Raw Deluxe OG. Clay, you can say Raw OG Deluxe. No, Raw Deluxe OG. No doubt. No doubt, man. Raw Deluxe. You know what I'm saying? I called you Raw Ali. Is that not what it is? Is it Raw Deluxe? Okay, Raw Deluxe for sure, man. 503 Lion, Texas in the building says, salute to the chat and Claymore. Salute, 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 salute. Let's see here. Quiet on the YouTube Cap in the building says, y'all call out Shakur. Devin and Black Fighters call out Rolly. He ran. No activity in the fight was boring. Yeah, man, we'll talk about that. You got some funny thumbnail there. That's what's up. You know what I mean? That's your thumbnail. That's how you feeling about it. It's cool. Cut Creator 420 in the building says Rolly was doing the kangaroo hop all night long, man. Wasn't he jumping out of range? Was that what he was talking about when he was talking about doing the Shakur? Is he saying Shakur jumps out of range? I mean, listen, Shakur has been accused of that before. He's been accused of jumping out of range a little bit. But I don't think he's been, outside of the De Los Santos fight, he hasn't been accused for the inactivity like you have, right? And maybe there's an argument there that Devin Haney showed that when he fought against Jose Ramirez, right? But at the same time, both those guys in both those situations had a reason for it, right? Shakur had an injury, obviously, going into that fight, and Devin was making his comeback after a year and some change hiatus of not being inside the ring on the back end of what happened with the Ryan Garcia situation. Listen, man, no excuses. There's reasons out there. I'm very interested in the reason why Rolly Romero fought the same way, because both Devin Haney and Shakur don't normally fight that way, right? It is what it is. Dank Father in the building says, Europe was good. Dank Father, was good with you, fam. What's good with you, man? BT Man 58 says, he said they can't, they only have hate for the brothers. Okay, he was responding to Quiet on the YouTube. Okay, I got you. Marcus Warren in the building, man, showing love with the super chat, man, with the $2. Yeah, it says salute Clay in the chat. Salute to you, Marcus. What's good with you, man? Edward Torres says Teal is going for undisputed. That's what he says, man. The zone just has to facilitate it, right? Make it make sense for everybody. We Fight on Night TV in the building says we rock with this real round one who watch MMA too. Yeah, no doubt, man. Big Dog Willie in the building. What's good? Says Tankamaniac. Good to see you in the building, man. Raheem Tillman, 1930 says this is a soft era of boxing. Yeah, maybe. Look, maybe not the toughest, man. Akeem says, wow, rest in paradise. No doubt, man. Alan One says prayers to Devin, Bill, and their family. Tough. 100%, man. Yeah, that was the information I got last night. When everybody was like, what's going on, man? Is it this? I'm like, nah, it's something that I don't really need to talk about. Had nothing to do with the show, and really, who am I to make an announcement like that? I don't think they formally came out with the announcement at that point. That was somebody on the team who reached out to me and was just kind of letting me know, like, hey, man, give me a heads up, this, that, and the other, and whatnot. You know what I mean? I think that, that's what, what the phone call I got in the middle of the live yesterday, and I wasn't going to sit there and make, first of all, that would have distracted us from the event we were watching, and secondly, not my place, right? That's not what we do here. I'm not trying to be the first at everything. You know what I mean? Shakur is a master of distance and range, no doubt. No problem in the building says, I love using the triangle theory when it comes to the Tankamaniac channel. 2 of Core's opponents beat 2 of Tank's opponents, plus Ryan Garcia was Rolly's best win. Ouch. HLD1 in the building, man, says that was a gay comment. Everyone calling out Rolly for running and not being active. Get that victim mentality BS the F out of here. That was a gay comment. Everyone calling out Rolly for running and not being active. Get that. Yeah. AK Crowd in the building with the spiritual super chat says, blessings, brother Claymore. Salute to you. Monyor says Dev did the same with Brian Norman Jr. B. Norman just walked into a shot after that. It was a hug. It was hugging all night. Yeah, I mean, listen, these fighters have had these moments, right? But I think the difference is with Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson and all these fighters is that these guys have shown improvement. They've shown improving themselves inside the ring of what they can do when they're not having off nights, right? When they're having, they're consistently a certain way. They deliver consistent, high level, high pedigree, high IQ, high acumen boxing, right? Pedigree. They do that constantly. So if they have an off night where they're not doing that, we give them grace. But with Rolly Romero, he just never has been a proven fighter, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? And I thought last night was an opportunity for him to show improve, not only in a victory, right? Obviously, a victory would have shown improvement for him too, but just in the fight, this is a competitive fight, a good fight. And last night, Rolly dropped the ball as far as I'm concerned when it comes to that point of view in the conversation. He did. He drops the ball on that. He didn't box. You know what I mean? I saw his corner struggle with him. I saw him keep his hands in his pocket. I saw him constantly pull himself out of range. A lot of the jabs he was throwing, a lot of the shots he was throwing, he was just out of range. Way more concerned about what was coming back at him than actually implementing his own game plan. And, for that, there's an argument there to say that the WBA deserves some scrutiny because the way that Rolly Romero became champion, the way that Rolly Romero has been moved as a fighter, ever since that Gervonta Tank Davis situation has been very interesting to watch, right? Very interesting to watch the way Rolly Romero's been moved. We talked about that a little bit last night, right? We talked about Rolly Romero after Tank, fighting old man Ishmael Barroso and, the funny politics in that fight there when the referee jumped in the middle of that and stopped that fight when Barroso had hurt Rolly multiple times in that fight and was arguably winning that fight before the referee got involved with it and stopped that fight, where some might say it was premature, right? And he picked up a WBA title on the back end of that, right? He picked up a belt, and that's what made it was it a WBA or WBO title? It was a WBA title, right? Yeah, he picked up a WBA title on the back end of that, right? And that became very interesting because of that, the politics of the sport showing and proving itself. Then he went into a title defense against Isak Pitbull Cruz, and he got dominated. Beat from pillar to post, not outclassed the way Teofimo did, but literally beat into submission, right? Hurt multiple times throughout the whole entire fight. Never was in the fight. He had a better showcase against Gervonta Tank Davis. You know what I mean? That fight that was very competitive until Gervonta actually stopped him. But in the Isak Cruz fight, just exposed completely. And maybe he wasn't mentally there. Maybe he stayed in the division a little bit too long, right? Maybe he was at 140 a little too long. Maybe he should have went up to 147. Maybe, he stayed at 134.5 so long that he couldn't even make the 140 weight class. Sometimes that happens, right? We can argue and say that that's what we saw happen with Devin, that he outgrew 140 before he got a chance to really compete at 140. He fought Regis Prograis, but by the time it was time for him to come around and fight Ryan Garcia, we saw him struggling with the scale again. So maybe that was the case for Rolly Romero, right? He had a fight against Manuel James, right? Or whatever his name is, Jaime James or Manuel James. I can't remember what his name is. But a very competitive 10-round fight where he won a lion's share of the rounds, of course. But, once again, looking very pedestrian. And listen, how did that fight age on the back end of watching Abdullah Mason get Manuel James out of there inside of 4 rounds? Stop him, right? So how did that victory age for him there? And then he gets rolled right into a big super fight with Ryan Garcia as a tune-up, as a stepping stone to get Ryan Garcia back in the rhythm of things, to see the fight that we all wanted to see, which is Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. And the WBA diabolically gets involved in that conversation, and they put an interim or a regular WBA title on the line. Where did that come from? Ryan Garcia coming off of a suspension, Rolly Romero coming off of a lackluster performance and a horrible dominated stoppage loss against Isak Cruz before that. He gets rolled right into a 147-pound title fight. And without a doubt, I would say the WBA thought that they were betting on Ryan Garcia to win that fight. And they wanted to get their title involved in a super fight between Devin Haney at the time, you know what I'm saying, and Ryan Garcia, right? A big payday that they were looking to get, 2 to 3% of that purse. And that's why they were moving strategically, right? Strategically trying to get their belt involved in a big money fight. And it kind of backfired on them because Rolly Romero upset Ryan Garcia. And where did that leave the WBA now? Well, it left him with a artificially flavored, homegrown in a lab champion in Rolly Romero, who really never checked the boxes as becoming a champion or being a top level champion. This guy held a title and still couldn't make the top 10 list on the welterweight division list for Ring Magazine, right? He still couldn't make the list with a title. So that kind of shows you what boxing thought of Rolly Romero, but still an opportunity that Rolly Romero took. His victory, got the upset victory over Ryan Garcia and was a champion. But what did he do with that belt when he got that belt? Well, he protected it. He protected the belt. All right. The PBC helped him do that. Wouldn't make none of the super fights, right? Try to get a fight with Manny Pacquiao, a fight with a fighter who was retired so many years, who had just had a draw with another horrible champion in Mario Barrios, right? And he tried to get that low-hanging fruit and get the big payday against Manny Pacquiao. And Manny Pacquiao was just a little too expensive for the PBC and Amazon's reach, right? For what they were willing to pay for Manny Pacquiao, who, rolled into conversations of potentially fighting Devin Haney or rematching Mario Barrios or even fighting Floyd Mayweather, right? Again, just not Rolly Romero, right? So what did that leave Rolly? Rolly gets into a conversation that interested us boxing fans. As we saw Devin Haney become a WBO champion against Brian Norman Jr., the most dangerous guy at that time in the division. And we heard Devin come out and say there were negotiations on the table between him and Rolly Romero for a unification fight. Got us excited. We were happy to hear about that, right? But those negotiations went to shit as well. Rolly even talked about retiring after that. So, and I'm speaking all of this just to build this story up to say that Rolly Romero was never a truly true champion, as I believe Sean Zattel might have said it, or some, I don't know who said it, but they said he's a title. He's not. No, it was not Sean Zattel. It was what's my guy's name? Oh my God, man. Oh my goodness, I'm having a brain fart here. The co-host with Chris Mannix, man. Y'all can put it in the chat if y'all can see who I'm talking about. The co-host with Chris Mannix, who I'm having a hard time right now. It's crazy. I know his name's on the tip of my tongue, but I'm just having a brain fart right now. But he said that he's a title holder, not a champion. Right? He said there's a difference. He said Teo is a champion. Teo is a true champion, a former arguable undisputed champion at 135, a lineal champion as well at 135, and a lineal WBO champion at 140. Right? Sergio Mora, shout out to my brother HLD in the building, man. Thank you. Appreciate you, HLD. And Sergio Mora said he's not a champion, he's a title holder. Ouch. Ugh. But yeah, at the same time, right? Ugh. But yeah, right? If we're going to be honest, he never proven it himself. And then he finally gets an opportunity to do that against Teofimo Lopez. And once again, I think this was a fight Rolly Romero could have won in spite of losing or winning. I'll say that again. I think Rolly Romero could have won that fight last night in spite of winning or losing. Either way, he could have walked away a victory. He could have walked away a champion in his own right, because he would have been a proven champion, even if he lost the title, just by competing with Teofimo at the highest level, putting it all on there, taking risk, fighting, going for the win. And of course, on the back end of a victory against Teofimo Lopez, he'd have been a champion as well. I think either way, we would have given him respect as a champion. But he dropped the ball last night, guys, right? He dropped the ball last night against Teofimo Lopez. You know what I mean? He ran around, used the whole real estate. He was the power punch in there. Teofimo was coming up in weight from 140 pounds on the back end of a loss, on the back end of a dysfunctional, performance with him and his father in the corner against Shakur Stevenson. Even in interviews with Mr. Versace, right? There was potentially a Teofimo Lopez who wasn't as strong mentally as he's been on his best day. And he had all these adjustments and all these things that he did with the Ryan Garcia fight that everybody wanted to see who he was going to be. And he showed himself to be somebody who, when it comes down, push to shove, mentally, I believe last night we watched Rolly Romero break. I really believe we watched Rolly Romero break last night. Really just give up. Pull out of the fight before the fight started. Decided at some point, whether it was before he got in the ring or in the early rounds of that fight, that he was not on the same level as Teofimo Lopez. And then he went into survival mode, using his lateral movement, moving around the ring, looking for only big kill shots, spamming big overhand right hands, spamming big left hooks, hoping that something would connect. Didn't work out for Rolly last night. But Teofimo, on the other hand, came through and had something else on his mind. He was going to show and prove. that he was back better than ever. He came out with a bunch of kids, remember? In his intro, a bunch of kids where he put the pressure on himself to be an example, to be the leader of what he's been saying for a couple of years now. Let's make boxing great again. He wanted to be the mascot, right? The front of the Wheaties box commercial for that slogan. And he came in ready to be active, and he did that. You know, he worked the body of Rolly Romero last night, touching him with that lead hand to the body, hooking off to the left side, using that right hook to touch that the left side of Rolly Romero. You know, punching what was going to be still, because he saw he had a fighter in front of him who was trying to be evasive and use his legs. And look, credit to Teofimo Lopez, because when we saw him in front of Jermaine Ortiz, he was having a hard time cutting the ring off on Jermaine Ortiz. He's been in the ring with a better fighter, a higher level fighter than a Rolly Romero, who was on his lateral movement, on his defensive prowessness. You know what I'm saying? That ultimately ended up in a fighter who was not engaging, who was not fighting, who was making it very difficult, right, for an entertaining shootout of a fight to happen. Well, Teo was confronted with that, surprisingly enough, with Rolly Romero, who was deciding to become that other fighter as well. But we saw him make the adjustments. We saw him touch and attack that body of Rolly Romero, right? And we saw him go through adversity as well. We saw him get hit by that left hook that we were all wondering what would happen when he got hit by that left hook, because Teo depends on that athleticism, right? He's accused a lot of times of keeping his hands just a little bit too low. When he moves and uses that lateral movement, or he backs straight out, he has his hands low because he wants to be ready athletically to capitalize on that counterpunch. And I said it on my breakdown that Rolly Romero, watch out for Rolly Romero's left hook. He has a very fast left hook, and that left hook can catch you on the way back out. And it did catch Teofimo as he was trying to get out the way of some work. Boom, he got hit with that left hook. And he stumbled, and he had to survive. I thought he was going to go down, right? But he didn't go down. You know, he had to weather the storm, and he got out of that round fighting, swinging, came out that corner swinging. And he showed once again, like I said earlier, that he's willing to bite down on that gum shield, and he's willing to bite down on that gum shield, and he's willing to find that inside beast inside that will not let him go away. Tonight or last night, he would not be denied. So we got to give Teofimo his flowers, man, for what he did last night. We do, man. And now that Teofimo's gotten that victory, which I thought the scorecards was off on my scorecards, I didn't have that fight close at all. I think I gave Rolly Romero 2 rounds in that fight. I gave the other 10 rounds to Teofimo Lopez. There was a judge who actually thought it was a draw. Ooh, that's interesting. Majority decision victory for Teofimo Lopez last night, which I thought was crazy, which just lets you know, like, you don't want to leave it in the judge's hands, right? Teofimo, you know, came up, but he could have obviously lost that fight. If you get one judge to give him a draw, he could have, one more draw could have been a majority draw, and, Rolly Romero could have walked away with his title. And that fight could have ended that way. So it is what it is. Teofimo walks out as champion, and is the division better off now on the back end of him walking out as champion? Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. It's a way better look for the 147-pound division. It's a way better look for the WBA. The WBA actually has somebody who they can call a champion now, because who they had mascotting as a champion in Rolly Romero was a hype job. It was embarrassing, and it was a shot at the WBA. It was a shot at sanctioning body business in boxing, as we watched the sanctioning bodies be very, very manipulative, especially in the past year and a half, 2 years. You're just watching Mauricio Suleiman moving around the space, positioning fighters he wants into positions of becoming champions, and stripping fighters immediately inside of a month after they become champion of their titles when they don't want to cooperate with him, and or when he doesn't want to see them as champion. We saw Dimitri Bivol on the back end of everybody understanding Mauricio Suleiman's position on the Ukrainian-Russia war, picking a side and stripping pretty much Dimitri Bivol of his title inside of a month after becoming a champion, right? Demanding that he defended and fought his title, defend his title against David Benavidez, and not allowing a trilogy to take place between him and Artur Beterbiev. Money didn't even matter to Mauricio Suleiman. We saw him move like a boss, right? We see Mauricio Suleiman presently. We watch him roll Ryan Garcia directly from a loss right into another title shot with Mario Barrios. We watch him do the same thing with William Zepeda. roll Williams Zepeda in on the back end of a loss back into another WBC title after he lost an opportunity to become a champion, right? Stepping over a Hadia Herrera. I've talked about this here on the platform in depth, right? We've talked about this, the politics of the sanctioning body space and how they play out. We're watching him in real time right now, Mauricio Sulaiman do it to Noah McKellian, threaten to strip him as he tries to force a unification. A fighter who's not even in the ranking structures of the WBC and is currently holding 2 titles in 2 different sanctioning bodies in that division. He's called that fighter the mandatory to Noel McKellian. It is what it is. We watched the WBO also move weird with Janibek, right? Elevating him. I mean, you could say they've moved weird with Keyshawn Davis as well, right? If you guys want to bring him up, you know what I mean? But bottom line is we've seen these sanctioned bodies it's constantly show their hands and just kind of discredit what should be the most credible thing in boxing, which is the championship belts. And of course, we watch Rolly Romero be not only put up as elevated to a regular champion, but be elevated on top of that to a super champion when it came time to getting him to defend his title against Shakram Jasov. Ouch. Ouch. Right? So, man, a blessing for Teofimo Lopez to walk out of that ring last night, clearly with those judges seeing that fight the way they did. It's a blessing that he walked out as a champion. And now, more importantly, the 147-pound division becomes that much more interesting. Right? The division becomes that more interesting now because now we can talk about unifications. And maybe we have a fighter in Teofimo Lopez who has that can-do attitude. Maybe we have that fighter in Teofimo Lopez who's not going to allow money to necessarily price him out of legacy. Maybe. We got to see it play out, right? And maybe we're that much closer to seeing another big fight. We're getting ready to watch Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia figure out their differences on September 12th as Ryan Garcia defends his WBC title. Devin Haney, unfortunately, with the news of what sounds like is a tragic passing of his mother, may not be in the conversation for the rest of 2026. We got to see what that looks like. But still, you know, we know Devin Haney don't duck any smoke, right? But in this time right now, we got to kind of be patient and give him grace for him and his family to weather the storm that they're going through. But even Liam Paro, right, could be a legitimate option. You know what I'm saying? As Liam Paro seems like a game opponent, looking like he's looking for a fight, right? Maybe a big payday's there as the zone is in position right now, looking to go ahead and showcase the biggest fights possible. They're trying to compete at the highest level, and they don't want the biggest fights going to the side anymore, right? They don't want the biggest fights going elsewhere. I mean, Turkey jumping into the biggest fights. They're looking to push the unifications. And, you know, these fights become that much more realistic when you have a game opponent who's not putting obstacles in front of, you know, making the biggest fights. And it looks like T.O.'s on that time, right? Right? It looks like T.O. is on that time. So yeah, I'm excited. I think the division gets that much better for T.O. Let's see what he does next. He has some injuries to look after as far as that cut over his eye. You know, let him spend time. He has a baby on the way right now with his wife. He has things going on. T.O.'s got a good thing going on in his life right now. Looks like he's in a good place mentally as well. I'll be excited to see what Teofimo does next, right? Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Yeah, listen, 105 people in the building. Hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. You know how we carry it up in here, man. The talking is high level, it's high scholarship, and we're looking to break down the biggest topics in boxing. So let's go into the Yoeli Hernandez fight, guys. So Yoeli Hernandez, man, a fighter who's really, you know, just been on the outside looking in. But I think, you know, we can look at Yoeli Hernandez and be honest about something, right? That as good as he is and as much of a boogeyman as he's shown himself to be at times, that he's still somewhat of a prospect fighter, right? Yoeli Hernandez, let's see what his record has improved to here. He's now 11-0, 11 wins, 0 losses. 9 of those victories come by knockout, and he's been able to shake up the middleweight division for a long time now, right? Big victories over Terrell Gausha and Kyron Davis, right? He's had these signature victories on his record, and right now ranked number 2 in the middleweight division conversation. Last night against Francisco Daniel Verón last night, he had a very gamed Argentinian in front of him, right? Francisco Daniel Verón came into the ring with, I believe, was it 17 wins and only 1 loss, 0 KOs on his record, and really was a fighter stepping up from 154 pounds to compete for the first time at 160 pounds against Yoeli Hernandez. And maybe some people thought that he was supposed to get Francisco Daniel Verón out the way. But guys, have you been watching boxing for any length in period of time? Are you guys, how long have you been watching fights? Because if you watch enough boxing, I think we all understand what that Argentinian style brings. Pressure, volume punching, right? The Argentinians, the Mark Maidanas, right? The who else? The Gustavo Limoses, right? The Brian Stanios, what was his name is? Oh my god, man. Who's the junior middleweight who fought against Jamel Charlo again? I said his name earlier a little bit. I'm brain farting right now. Put it in the chat and help me out here. Brian Castaño, right? Brian Castaño of the game, right? All these Argentinians, even the women, they all come with that consistent high volume punching, pressure style fighting. They can smother a lot of your offense, right? They can smother a lot of your offense and force you into a defensive position. And the fights don't look that pretty. We watched Marcos Maidana make Floyd Mayweather look a little bit pedestrian, right? He had a game opponent last night, and Yoenli in position right now to, become a champion right now. There's an argument there to say that he could have waited out a little bit and just jumped into a fight with a Denzel Bentley, right? Or whatever have you, that he could become a champion and make that his priority. But he picked up a pretty tough fighter in Francisco Verón last night. And it played out into a very competitive fight, a fight that went the full range, the full 10 rounds last night. Listen, man, I had Yoenli Hernandez winning a line share. I think I gave Verón maybe 2 rounds last night, but that's not what the judges saw. Let me see what my scorecard says here. Yeah, I had it 99-91 on my scorecard. We had a very interesting scorecard last night. We had 99-91, like me, you know what I'm saying? And then we had a 98-92 from David Sutherland. But then we had Steve Weisfeld, interestingly enough, give the fight a draw last night. Interestingly enough, he made the fight a draw, right? And I thought that was interesting. I didn't see that fight being anywhere near a draw. I thought Verón was a game opponent without a doubt. He wasn't just sitting up in there getting beat down. He was in the fight. He was competing, but I didn't think he did anything significant enough to take a lion's share of the rounds. But we had people come up on the panel last night. Shout out to my brother HLD. Shout out to 444 who came up here last night. Shout out to Joel Foster who came up on the panel last night, and everybody who was in the chat last night who disagreed with me, right? Who said, listen, man. Oh, yeah, Alan Chavez. Shout out to Pugilism. Alan Chavez is actually a little bit different to me. He's got that Argentinian pressure, but he's also a real good boxer puncher, man. Really one of my favorite Argentinians right now. I really like Alan Chavez right now, and I think he's an understated. He's in the conversation of what's going on at 135 right now, or 140. I can't remember which weight class. I want to say 135, or maybe 140. I don't know, but he's definitely like a wild card in the division. People ain't talking about him, but he's really like that. So shout out Pugilism for bringing up Alan Chavez, man. He's a mean-ass Argentinian fighter for sure, man. But back to the Yoenli Hernandez and the Francisco Verón fight. Very competitive fight. But, Yoenli's getting a lot of criticism for the performance. And listen, this is what I'm going to say, right? I'm starting to realize the mark of the great. I'm going to coin that. Mark of the great. Right? The mark of the great, the criticism that comes for Shakur Stevenson on the back end of a De Los Santos fight, the criticism that comes for Jaron Ennis on the back of a Karen Kukudajin fight or David Avanesian fight, right? Or even criticism he's getting currently for the Xander Zayas fight, right? The criticism that comes on the back end of Hamza Shiraz on the back of his last fight, right? The criticism of a Floyd Mayweather on the back of a Marcos Maidana fight, right? I'm just trying to think of all the names, you know what I'm saying, when you get the criticism for these, what some would call pedestrian performances, right? Pedestrian performances, when they look regular, they don't look like Superman anymore. They look vulnerable, right? They look like they can get touched all of a sudden, where they look like they were unstoppable, right? But a lot of times on the back end of those performances, those are the beginnings of a great fighter, because those are where a lot of fighters start to see opportunities for themselves. Fighters that these fighters are trying to make the biggest fights with didn't want to make the fights with them because they were so dangerous. They were ducking and moving around these fighters, and all of a sudden, these fighters became regular. On the back of that Xander Zayas fight, all of a sudden, Sebastian Fundora was like, he's food. Wow, really? He's food now? Okay, whatever, right? Virgil Ortiz was like, I'm getting him out of here. I want to fight him next. All of a sudden, Oscar De La Hoya was like, that's the fight we got to make. There's no other fight to make. And look. And when we understand, we're not the A side. We understand the negotiations have changed. We're willing to take the B side. All of a sudden, things open up. Opportunities open up for these fighters. And my question to you guys is that what happened potentially with Yoeli Hernandez last night? Yoeli Hernandez have that pedestrian performance that will finally give a lot of these fighters who have not been wanting to fight Yoeli Hernandez an opportunity finally. Because if he's easy food, then you should come eat, right? Don't cheat yourself. Treat yourself. If he's really simple, if he's food, get him now. At 11 professional fights into his career, get him now before later, right? Before he gets better, before he really becomes a terror, get him now. So Denzel Bentley, hey man, send the offer out there. Tell your people to get in touch with Yoeli Hernandez's people and hurry up and get him out the way. Carlos Adames, you were hesitant before, but ain't no time like the present. Looks like Yoeli is not as good as we thought he was. Get him now. You know what I mean? Jump in there. Call him out. You know what I mean? Aaron McKenna, man, you might as well get Yoeli now, man. That's low-hanging fruit, man. Don't get in the ring with Amari Jones, because Amari look like he gonna put the beats on Aaron McKenna from my viewpoint. Shout out to Aaron McKenna, but it doesn't look. I think just the eye test tells me that. But hey, Oscar, maybe the real fight is Yoeli Hernandez versus Amari Jones. Get that signature win on Amari Jones's record. Make the big fights. Show and prove. Make the big fights, show and prove. Yoeli Hernandez, in my opinion, put on a decent fight last night. I think there was clearly some outside intangibles involved in the performance as well. And I'm hoping that, I don't know if Coach Hector Bermudez, I know he's at the airport moving around, so maybe he's having a hard time getting on the show right now. I don't know. I could reach out and text message him in, but I know he's in the middle of traveling. But I'd love for him to come up here and speak on the Yoeli Hernandez performance, what happened, what he saw, what the game plan was going into the fight, and exactly how he saw that fight when it was all said and done. Was Yoeli Hernandez looking horrible? I know maybe he could have looked better, but how he felt about it. I thought Yoeli looked decent. I thought Yoeli showed some versatility. He was a co-headliner on a big card, and it was an opportunity for him to show, improve, and give an entertaining performance. And I think we might have seen that last time. We might have seen the entertainment take precedence over the fundamentals, if that makes any sense, right? We might have seen the entertainment of the fight take precedence over the fundamentals of the fight. And maybe in the spirit of being entertaining, maybe Yoeli did put himself in a position a little bit to be a little bit vulnerable to some offense from Francisco Verhome. Maybe that's what we saw last night. But then again, maybe we saw somebody who really got holes in his games, who's really not as good as we thought he is, and maybe he's low-hanging fruit, right? Maybe he's low-hanging fruit, and it's time for the champions to get him out the way. Maybe Ring Magazine has it all messed up. Ring Magazine is saying that he's number 2 in the world without a belt, above other champions who have belts. Maybe they got it wrong, and the truth of the matter is that Yoeli Hernandez is low-hanging fruit. I don't know, man. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Let me hit some of these super chats here. JD4321 in the building with the $5. Says DAZN, $50 a month. I'm still not doing it for me. Even if they start putting some mean cards, I just can't see myself paying that amount of money for boxing. JD4321. $5. I appreciate the $5, man. And listen, man, I talked about that last night a little bit, right? If you were on the live, you heard me talking about, next year will be an interesting year as we watch things develop for DAZN. As we watch a lot of customers, including myself, who have been paying the $45.99 a month for DAZN Ultimate, locked in, by the way, for a year contract, right? Cannot get out of it. It's a year contract, $45.99 every month for a year. Will I be renewing my subscription for another year commitment? Maybe, maybe not, right? I'll tell you, well, more than likely I will. I'm not going to even lie to you. I won't play with you guys, right? I'm a boxing fiend, man. I probably am going to pay, bro. I ain't going to lie to you. But will the casual fans, will the fans who don't have channels, right? I won't even say casual because I don't want to insult anybody, but I'll say, well, the fans who don't have vested interest in the platform commit that money, right? We'll see, right? We've seen some good pay-per-views and we see some questionable pay-per-views as well. But there is a price point and a paywall that's there, and that conversation will become more interesting next year. We're watching JD4321 in here say that. Oh, hold on a second here. Hold on a second here. Speaking on the zone, right on time. Strategic. Let me get dressed this last super chat here. Chico 84-510 in the building with $10. Says, I've been to 3 continents to see boxing, and this era of American is so trash. That main event was atrocious. Saw the last 3 rounds. I've turned into a casual. None of these 147 champs win in the past era. Ouch. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about all that. For now, guys, sit in your seats. Take your time, man. You should have went to the bathroom already. Get your popcorn. I got a special guest here on the channel right now, man. It's time to talk some boxing, man. A very integral part of what we saw last night as far as media is concerned, as far as promotion is concerned, as far as access to these fighters in a way that we never really seen the zone give us before. If you've been watching the Teofimo Rolly Romero full access video that was done, then you're probably wondering who did it, right? I know who did. And I'm going to introduce you guys to who did it. Shout out to my guy, Mike Leon in the building. Let me give you a round of applause.
What's up, Clay?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing?
I'm good, bro. I'm tired. I'm comments of boxing, the zone. I'm here to help you guys understand mindset with the future of the sport. Listen, that last comment, the one in the green, real quick on the 50 a month.
I'm gonna pull it up. Right now for you.
Pull it up for me, because I'll give you a raw, honest answer. One of the things that we've talked about internally has been our price point. We know, look, there's no lie. Like, I'm a boxing fan myself.
Right.
It's expensive, guys. Like, I'm not saying anything out of school, right? But the reason the price points are the price points is because it has to make fiscal sense for the zone as a business to pay said fighters to fight. Now, I know people are going to argue with, like, yeah, but look at that undercard and look at that. It's a separate issue. We can get into that separately. But we hear the concerns. There are some things we're going to start trying potentially in the future. The other thing is the zone in North America is not just going to be boxing. If you didn't see the latest news, and maybe I'm breaking news to people out there,
the Knicks,
the NBA, NHL will be coming to the zone. There's the Knicks and Rangers in the New York market, Islanders and Devils, Yankees, baseball, all that stuff. If you live in New York, you sign into the zone, you're going to have a price point that includes NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, and boxing, right? If you live in Minnesota, you'll have the Timberwolves. If you live in Indiana, you're going to have Pacers. So we're trying to make it like a collective business. The reason why these Paramounts and Netflixes of the world work is because they have different content across verticals. They've got movies, they've got shows, they've got documentaries, then they have sports, right? So they can try different sports, they can fail at certain things because it's a large portfolio. We just had, here in America, we just had boxing. And internationally, we had everything else, right? Like, we have the NFL. Internationally, we have the NHL, we have March Madness. If you lived in Spain, for example, the zone is the only place you would go to watch La Liga or the World Cup. So you wouldn't go to anything else. Here in America, because boxing is so fragmented and the price point is high, you know, we're trying to alleviate that by getting other U.S. sports. So this is going to be the first year of many with the zone having added sports content given the markets that you live in. And there's more teams coming. Obviously, I'm not at liberty to say which ones, but there's more teams from NBA and NHL that are going to be coming on board for that. So, like, it's going to make for a better experience. But I hear this comment. I felt this comment yesterday, like, just sitting there, you know, because it's one of those things, as I've told you, like, I'm trying to tell stories about Rolly and Tio. Yoenli Hernandez has a phenomenal story. I'm here in the room with the videographers for him because he trains under Big Rob here with Dream Big Management. So we know his team very well. He's got a crazy story, man, like about quitting boxing a few years ago when he was living in France. And there was a trainer that happened to speak Spanish that encouraged him to keep going. And then his wife, who was I think she fought in the Pan American Games. And I'm looking over here for validation from somebody that's like, yes. And that's just a crazy story. Not only just leaving Cuba and then trying to go to Mexico or trying to go to France to eventually get in the U.S., but to work your way up. So, like, I would love to tell his story, of course, but at what cost, right? It all comes down to money at the end of the day. So there's a lot of different things that I think people don't see, but that comment, it's funny that I hopped on when that comment popped up because I totally get it. And I think yesterday was a prime example of, like, you really have to be a hardcore boxing fan to know who some of these people were on the undercard or main card. And Rolly Teo, maybe it's not enough to carry you to pay $79.99. I get it. We're working on ways to try to alleviate that.
Yeah, look, Mike, man, 100%. You know what I mean? And even when you sent me the video, I mean, I appreciate you including me in that, like sending me that link to watch that video. That was a great video, by the way. That was as high level as any other full access video I've ever seen. And you know, this is why they brought you on board, right? Is to bring this part to the game, man. And I think that's what it needs. As I'm watching the DAZN add different features to try to continue to add value, right? As they're probably responding to the idea of people looking for that value, right? Like, what am I paying for here? Just this? No, there's all these different aspects of it. And I'm watching it come full circle. But without a doubt, the paywall does seem to be a part of the conversation. And listen, this conversation didn't start with the DAZN. This is the conversation that's been here for a while now with the PBC and the pay-per-view model. And people have been talking about this pay-per-view paywall getting in the way of, you know, and I've said it myself, getting in the way of the casual fans, maybe even more importantly, getting into this space and really seeing it.
Well, Clay, real quick, that's another reason why the TNT partnership was so crucial for us. You know, like having a broadcast linear partner that lost a major sport with the NBA, and they're looking to fill from a content perspective.
Exactly.
A lot of people got TNT at their house. Like, I can't imagine there's people that don't have TNT, or at least TNT's airing in a bar for free because it's part of a DirecTV package. So the fact that we were able to get some fights with some names that boxing fans know, right? You know, Abdullah Mason, you know, Lamont Roach, who was here last night at the fight. You know, you may or may not know Zepeda from the Stevenson fight. So we're trying to put these fights together. We got another one that's going to be announced. Well, we got September 4th with Andy Ruiz at Prudential Center. Then there's going to be an October show that's going to be announced with a big name. So, like,
that's a TNT fight, the Andy Ruiz card?
Yeah, the Andy Ruiz.
Awesome.
Yeah, Vito Melanicki and Amo Williams is the co-main. That's a TNT card.
Awesome.
So we're trying.
Are you going to be at that event?
I may or may not be at that event, depending upon how much my wife likes me, because I've been traveling to Vegas back and forth for these training camps, because Rolly and Teo both train out here. I'm in Vegas right now waiting for my flight. That's why I hopped on. I'm at my boy's house as we're editing, you know, this Fight Night Raw that will come out tomorrow about last night's fight. It gives you alternate angles, behind the scenes perspective, interviews with, like, you know, Emiliano Vargas, Fernando Vargas. We got Bob Santos, Lamont Roach was on it. Shushu was at the fight yesterday. Jorge Masvidal was at the fight yesterday. So you get interviews from different people in the space, alternate angles and things that maybe you didn't see on the broadcast because you couldn't have seen it because we were shooting it.
Right.
And that comes out Monday at 6
Pretty
o'clock
much.
on our YouTube. So it's called Fight Night Raw.
And these videos, right? Are they going to? I mean, and I was going to segue into the TNT conversation, right? Where that's another move that I seen the DAZN make to address the quote unquote complaints, right? Or the observations as far as, you know, what if we don't want to pay? You know, we're not ready to pay the $79.99 a month or the $50. How do we have access to, you know, giving these fighters their stories and everything commercial value when it comes to building up these fights? And I noticed the TNT deal. I said that immediately. You know what I'm saying? I brought that up and said that was an amazing deal because, you know, Abdullah Mason hit it out the park in Albertville. They hit it out the park. Was like 800 something thousand views on that one.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah, and also you
hmm?
get, and not to cut you off, but like
Hmm?
you also get Bleacher Report and House of Highlights that are all part of that ethos of TNT Sports. So they're pushing out to their audience who maybe doesn't follow boxing, in
Mhm.
addition to us with the hardcore pugilists and others. And what that locked in show that you're referencing that I sent you, and you can go
Mhm.
watch it right now. It's on YouTube. It's on Prime Video. It's called Locked In, Rolly versus Teo. And we shoot it over a few days with each of the guys, and it takes people um, from the announcement of the fight to training camp to like downtime, right? Like we went out to eat with Rolly. Tio gave us a little MTV Crib style tour of his house and had us at the house and stuff like that. So like, when we try to make those things, now we're not just pushing it out on the DAZN's app or on the YouTube channel. Like
Mhm.
it goes out on True TV. It aired on True TV twice during fight week, right? Like at 10 p.m. It
Right.
aired. It's on Prime Video right now. If you go to Prime Video and click on PBC, you'll see that it's locked in. Is there. So added distribution means more people that maybe wouldn't watch this stuff, and now it pops up on their Amazon Prime Video, or they're watching on TV like my dad was. My dad doesn't even like, he still watches boxing. He knows obviously I work in it, but like he watched it on True TV one day because he watches True TV a lot. Savannah Bananas are on there and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Replays of what's that, Impractical Jokers. So he happened to have it on. Boom, there's a new person watching a series that they've never seen for the first time. So we're trying to tell these stories more, and we're trying to like distribute it out to different audiences. Like you were mentioning before, right? About casuals, will they pay for this? No, they probably won't. Casuals, you had to be a hardcore last night. We're trying to get avids and moderates. I'm talking like people that remember names from 20 years ago and remember 24/7, and they fell out of love with boxing because boxing didn't have a unified home. Because
Right.
Showtime came in, and then PBC went over to Prime. First they were on Fox, then they went to Prime. Like it's all confusion, and then they don't get the
Mhm.
promoters. The Zone has tried to do it where we got one promoter. I mean, excuse me, one platform, all promoters. Like we're trying to do it the right way to kind of synchronize all that and get the hardcores to remember what it was like. So my job is the programming angle of that, and that's what we're trying to do with that series.
No, and you guys are doing a great job at that, man. As I was saying earlier, what I mean, we're gonna see on the other side of this. Next year is gonna be a big year. I say from my point of view as a pundit who's watching all this, it's gonna be a big year as I watch how the subscription renewals come around, right? It'll be a little bit more telling about what people thought about the first year of the ultimate package and what they got as far as pay-per-views are concerned, and the product, how they feel about the product by their response to when it comes time to renew the membership. I've got Chico 84510 in here with the $10, says other sports don't charge this much. Fire Stick Boys outside. He says, I can get Netflix and Paramount ad-free for the price of the Zone. Now the Paramount and Warner merger settling. He says he's going to pass on the Zone for now. This is what Chico says. And HLD.
Listen, wait,
Uh-huh.
hold on, before you move on to that.
Mhm.
I can't stop him from doing that. Like,
Right.
I'll be honest, when I got the job, the first thing I said was, I love the production value. I stream illegally. Like not because no, because you have to be honest with yourself. And if you don't even have me, and I worked at HBO, and I was a
Mhm.
producer for Friday Night Fights at ESPN, and I know a lot of these guys, as you follow me on social. Like I know a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys follow me.
Right.
I, I and I don't have it. Like we're missing our audience. So like I get what he's saying. Obviously, I don't agree with it just because I work there, but also it's way different. Like he's not Chico. You're not looking at it correctly. The Zone is a sports app that never had sports in the U.S. So there was no reason for you to buy the Zone because it's so. If you're not a boxing fan, you wouldn't get it. So if you would see the Zone, when you go to Target and they got all the gift cards, and then you
Uh-huh.
would see a Zone yellow one, it's like, oh, $19.99, watch sports. My sister, as an example, saw it and she was like, "Oh, I could watch sports now." I'm like, "Not if you don't, not if you live in the U.S." I'm like, "You can't." I'm like, "That's not going to help you. You're not a boxing fan, so it's not going to help you." So he's looking at it wrong. Netflix has movies, has documentaries. They've cracked into sports now with their relationship with the NFL. They have obviously the MVP stuff, and they do one-off boxing events with Tyson Fury and things like that. I think they're going to have an announcement very soon on that front. They can try other things because they got 335 million subscribers, and all their content is like different verticals. We just have one thing, so it's not apples to apples. I get what he's saying about others don't charge as much because they don't have to. They got more subs. They've been around longer. They have different content to offer. They don't care about the sports business. Netflix doesn't care if boxing succeeds or fails. It's all part of one big portfolio. We care about it succeeding or failing. Now, if it's a tortoise, then why is it that much? Again, the numbers got to match up to offset the cost of putting these events on, as you see the wristband that I'm wearing. But like, we're not there yet. We're slowly starting to get there by getting more sports. So eventually, and I don't know where Chico lives, but let's just say Chico lives in Cleveland. Like, right. And all of a sudden the Cavs are on DAZN, and so are the Guardians. And so eventually Chico's going to be like, oh, all right, now this makes sense. Now I will pay $20, $25 a month because I got Cavs, I got Guardians, I got all the boxing I need. And then maybe we start to shrink the price of what pay-per-views cost, or we start to do these one-offs where like you do one price here, you get the next couple of events 50% off. Something like that. We're trying different things, but it's not fair to compare DAZN with Netflix and Paramount and Warner because A, more subs, B, way different content, wider net. So it's a different thing. They're different things.
No, I definitely get that, man, 100%. And so you believe that these things will offset. Well, I'm just trying to adjust something here real quick here. You believe these things will offset at some point or another, that these additional, like the NBA and all these things may offset the price a little bit on these packages and make at some point, can we anticipate it becoming just a little bit more affordable as it stops leaning so hard on boxing to provide for the platform to remain the way it is? Is that what you're saying?
It's just introducing a different audience that normally wouldn't buy DAZN, but now they will because there's more sports. So boxing can be rolled into that. Same thing that I was mentioning. When you go, there's Jacob, by the way, who edits that Locked In episode. So if you ever that Locked In video shot by him, everything that he came with me on the Teofimo Rolly shoots. If like I was mentioning before, Netflix and Paramount, they roll all of this up into one portfolio. So if a part of it fails, it doesn't matter because they have 30 other things that can offset it. We don't in America, we don't have 30 other things. We only have boxing. But now, you know, I'm a Knicks fan, as you know. Right. Now the Knicks are on DAZN. I've got the NBA World Champions on DAZN. If I live in New York City, I'm gonna get DAZN because big fights happen at the Garden, and now I've got the two teams that play at the Garden with the Knicks and the Rangers. Why wouldn't you get it? Now we have a wider portfolio that even if little things fail, or we can try new approaches to new things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I see it. I see the writing on the wall, you know what I'm saying? I see the silver lining in the sky, and I think it's about time, obviously, right? That's what this is about at this point. It's about allowing these things to come out, you know, at the right time and be rolled out. And as you guys are, you know, increasing production and adding all these different features, it becomes a more interesting conversation. And interesting in what you said on putting these events together, as now the DAZN is getting into network deals with these fighters, right? We've seen what happened with Teofimo Lopez. He's sitting he said, you know what I mean? I don't know what his business is, but according to him, you know, 3 or 4 fights, 20 million somewhat dollars, give or take, whatever he shared with the space. And then we have rumors of Devin Haney as well going into his own network deal with DAZN. We don't know how that one really works out with them, but still, DAZN showing interest in signing fighters to these network deals. Do you have any information as far as like what we can be expecting from DAZN when it comes to, are we going to see more of these network deals come out? Do you think we're going to start seeing, like, you know, the David Benavidez's, you know, the Virgil Ortiz's, as these guys are rolling into the end of their contracts? And once again, I won't be shocked at all if you don't get that information, because I know you're very on the media side.
No. I have the information. I can't.
Okay. So, okay, that part as well, right? Then there's that part as well.
Right, but let's use your last two examples.
Okay.
Benavidez and Virgil. are still under PBC and Golden Boy respectively. So like
Facts.
there's they're under the DAZN umbrella. So their next few fights, however they're contractually obligated, are gonna be on DAZN, right? So there's no issue there. Teofimo, wanted to go in the independent route here. This is very similar like the music business when people used to go to Koch Records. Like they would start leaving like the big record companies and they would just go to Koch because Koch would give them more money instead of taking what the record labels do take off of like record sales. You could make more money from an independent. So your whole album, you would get $7 an album as opposed to 99 cents an album, right? So he made the deal, and I don't know the financial terms of the deal, but the deal is, if I'm not mistaken, for at least a year. And it made sense because there were people that are approaching T.O. I know in the press conference, him and Rolly had talked about the Zuffa thing, and it's T.O.'s a little bit accurate on the they did approach him and stuff, they did want him. But will we see more of them? Obviously, you mentioned the name that's been rumored out there. I think boxers have to think about it from the lens of, do you want to do a deal with the network directly and not have the promoter take from you and skim? Do you get to see more of that? Because you got to remember, you have to be a special fighter to be able to do the independent thing. You can't you have to be a name. Whatever you think about yesterday's fight, whatever you think about Teofimo's a very good fighter. Like I would put him as a special talent and probably arguably one of the more known names in boxing that we could market around. Mm-hmm. Best example would be he just won this fight. If tomorrow I pitched him to Dancing with the Stars on ABC, it's an easy upsell. Scott, 2 million followers across platforms. He knows how to dance. Like we've done some things with him in the dancing space. He's a world champion boxer, 3 divisions. Like it's an easy sell when you're thinking of athletes that have been on that show, right? And then that could give them a wider crossover audience. So I think it depends on the boxer because not everybody can do it. Right. Not everybody is the name that you mentioned before that rhymes with Haney. Not everybody is, Teofimo. Not everybody can do an individual deal. Like you really, truly have to be of a special talent where you think you don't need a promoter. The other thing about this is in T.O.'s deal, and he talked about this a little bit, was Takeover Promotions is baked into that, meaning that he wants to grow that promotional company. He does want to sign fighters that he feels have talent and don't have a backing, and he can help build that up. So with this partnership comes the ability to help him achieve that goal eventually. But, I'm trying to think, I don't want to put anybody down, but like, just like a random name from yesterday, the second fight, like, can any of those guys go seek their own deal with the DAZN? No, they can't. Nor would they try, right? Like I'd rather stick with the promoter, win my fight, move up, get my regional title, get him put in position for a challenger and things like that. There's multiple ways to skin a cat, bro. Like you can rent a house, right? You can buy a house. You could get an RV and just not even own a house. Like there's multiple ways to do things.
You live on the road, right?
Exactly. And that's Teofimo thought this was the best decision for him. Obviously, as a DAZN employee and somebody who knows him personally, and now you shoots with him a lot and things like that, and forced to tell his story. Not forced, you know what I mean? But like I think he made a smart decision because he already went the top rank route and they had a little bit of a falling out. Now he's going to try this independent route. If it doesn't work out, by the way, he can go back the promoter route. Like there's no, like Bob Arum likes to say, what's best for you right now, still no hard feelings because we could work together down the road, right?
100%. And I think as I was segueing into it and I brought up those names as far as the David Benavidez's and the Virgil Ortiz's and other fighters, right? As far as like the stars, the star attractions that are still on contract with these promotional companies, you got to think as they come to an end of their contracts, and I'm sure they're focused on right now being in compliance with, right? They're not looking outside of those contracts, but as they come to the end of these contracts, these become more interesting conversations as they start to have to maybe make potential decisions as far as getting these big, payout deals that the Zuffa's offering, like the Shakur Stevenses, the Richard Hitchens, and the Edgar Berlangas, or, being able to compete in that space, whereas a Golden Boy or PBC may not be able to compete with that kind of leverage that Zuffa brings to the table, which is being very liquid right now in the beginning of their growing. They have a lot of money they didn't want to spread around. now it seems like the zone's kind of jumped into the driver's seat a little bit and be like, well, we're not going to just sit here and lose our fighters because you guys can't hold them down. But maybe at the same exact time, the zone isn't giving the big budgets as well that they can hold their own fighters down as well, right? They're not handing out money the way, let's say, a Showtime did to PBC for them to spend. They want to be a little bit more cost conscious on how they're moving. I mean, even on the back end of these ultimate packages and then these they're charging these high prices. You said it before. It's about being able to facilitate these events. So is that the zone showing their hand as far as wanting to get a lot more hands-on with boxing, whereas it seemed like before they were allowing the promotional companies to do their job and just focus on maintaining the platform? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't work here before, so I can't really speak on before. I can speak on what these last 6 months have kind of looked like from my lens. But I mean, obviously I came from the promoter level, and the zone has been something that you and I have talked about this, where like it just hasn't cut through noise wise. Again, because only boxing. And if 24 million people in the US watch boxing, illegally or through actual variables like, paying for a pay-per-view, and our subscriber rate is like way less than that. Clearly we haven't cut through. So I think we've focused more on, well, you could do two things at the same time, right? Like Jared Cass, who Teo referenced when he signed the deal and thanked, is, the guy who really puts together these deals with the promoters and these partnerships, right? Like, and how we're going to do it. In terms of doing an event, we work collaboratively with the promoter of how we're going to execute this. And promoters obviously are always focused on ticket sales, right? We're not focused on ticket sales. We want people to stream the fight or pay for it. So while you have a competing interest there, you're working together to make sure that we're lifting the boat. Last night locally, they've got to do their stuff locally. And as I walk the strip, although it's 105 degrees here, so I didn't walk it that much, you see it on every billboard flash screen, right? As you up and down about put up or shut up. So they did their job. PBC did their job in terms of promoting that aspect. Still working with their partner at Prime Video to like promote it and get it up on the rails and make sure that it's front facing for people when they come into the app. We do our late pushes to get people to sign up. So I don't know if the zone has taken a foot off and like, I think what's happening is that we're working with promoters that we never worked with before. Top Rank and PBC is a perfect example. We haven't had a Top Rank pay-per-view just yet. We've only had that Keyshawn Davis, Nair Albright fight. So that wasn't a pay-per-view. That was a subscription show. But like a pay-per-view event, once we start working with these other promoters we haven't worked with on these things, I don't see any friction because they're doing what they do typically at the promoter level, and we're doing what we typically do at the network level. And it's really we're about streams. They're about the locality of getting the fighters and promoting the event. So they're not competing interests because we're working together on it. So I don't know if the zone, to answer your question, I don't think the zone has kind of stepped back from that aspect. I think it's just they're doing two things at once now, and the relationships are better now for sure, given the competition across the street that has been very vocal about taking this over, and they're going to learn the hard way, just like anybody does. If you overspend on too much, I give the example because Live Golf, I worked at the PGA Tour during the Live Golf stuff, and where's Live Golf now? Right, and Saudi Arabia already pulled their investment, you know, and they're looking for a venture capitalist that wants to invest in a product that is team formatted golf that really doesn't make sense for the public, and it's only 3 rounds, and they're playing in shorts, blasting music. Like, I play golf, I don't want to watch that. Like, I want to watch actual competitions of dudes getting after it and winning. Well, the majors are separate, but like winning an actual tournament, going all 4 rounds, and making sure that you keep your foot on the gas from a competition standpoint. Live doesn't do that, but you do have to overspend initially to get the talent. Right. It's a hard business, bro. Like, so I think the cool thing is the zone's working collaboratively with everyone. By the way, I wanted to see the other comment because I know you had another comment of somebody that had popped in. So
for sure, man.
Questions from folks.
100%. HLD1 with the $5 says, yes, of course, DAZN, been talking about it. Let's raise them prices once again. Then they think they can explain themselves and justify it CNN style.
I think that's because that person has seen me on CNN.
Yeah.
Because I do CNN.
I saw you on CNN the other day too.
Yeah, so I think that was a slight dig. HLD1, right? All right, bro. I see you, bro. I see what you're saying. But I'm not kidding. If you see one more price raise, you can hit me up personally. I gave you my email before. Like, we realize, again, remember, I just started 6 months ago. So the we only applies for me from March of 2026 till now. So you can't put me in anywhere before that.
Right.
I don't know what the zone was doing before.
This is like becoming president, right? It's like I got a lot of problems I walked into.
Correct. If I'm here in 2 years,
right,
it's gotten exponentially more. Then his comment is valid, right?
Okay.
And the CNN thing, I love it because that means he watched me on CNN. So I'd rather somebody be watching than not watching at all, right? But
HLD's definitely watching, without
he's
doubt.
definitely 100% watching. But what I'm saying is like, judge it off of 12 months from now. If we haven't learned creative ways to get people to pay for something at a lower cost that includes other things that they'll get with it, which, like I mentioned, will be these other sports across markets. Judge me in 12 months. Like, you can't judge me now. Like, it just started 6 months ago.
For sure. And looking, we got JD 4321 with the $5 says, stop letting these fighters trick the zone out of money. Make them fight each other. As a fan, if I need a guaranteed fighter, will fight now instead of 5 years late.
So, look, everybody knows about the Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis thing, right?
Horrible.
This is the only thing I will say about that, because I don't know where the line is. I don't want to blur the line of giving too much detail about it. But, I mean, everything's kind of already public-facing in terms of what they were offered. The only thing I will add to that is that internally, we knew how that could have been a big fight to make, right? And there were some incentives that we threw in to try to get parties to the table to get that fight to happen. It ultimately didn't. We'll revisit it when we revisit it. And I can't confirm nor deny what people will say about Keyshawn if he's, truly just ducking and doesn't want to fight, or same thing with Shakur. Like, I can't get into that because I don't know especially those three. I don't know them like that, right? Like, if it was the two guys who fought last night, who I know a lot better, like, I can answer that a little more. But what I will say is that with certain people at the helm, and you guys have seen Britton Harden at the press conferences now, the young brother that was at Tio Rolly's presser, and he did the PBC, DAZN intro press conference. He came over from OTX. And with Jared and others, there are people that understand the business of boxing, but are boxing fans and want to make the fights. We don't want to wait until, look what's happening with Fury and Joshua. Like, you could argue it's too late. Like I could argue it's too late for two 37-year-old heavy, and I think Joshua's 36, but I think AJ.
I would argue that confidently, Mike. I would argue that with anybody, no problem. I would take that position.
And now you're not even going to have the fight on the continent where the two guys are from. Potentially. Right. So we don't. I don't want. I was at HBO and I saw Pacquiao Mayweather just go to ish, and then it gets made 10 years, maybe I would say 8 years after it should have been made. So we don't want to do that. So Haney Garcia, I'm trying to think of who else are some names that we want to see people fight. Benavidez and
Jai.
I don't know, Benavidez. Yeah.
Yeah, Benavidez and Jai fight, but no, there's definitely some big fights out there. Even with Virgil right now, kind of floating into 150 for 160. Right. Yeah, you know what I mean. So that's a fight as well.
Fundora, right? Like, we're actively engaged with all of these folks to let them know the urgency, but also there's going to be more eyeballs on the platform that will, just like I talked about before, because there's other sports now, there are going to be other people that are going to be into the platform for the first time. They're going to come in and be like, okay, what else is on here? Oh, shoot, Boots is fighting Sebastian Fundora. Sad. Oh, great. And because I have this new DAZN plan, it's 50% off or something like that. That's my hope. Like, that's what we're trying to move towards. So, again, HLDI, Jay, hear both of you. judge it in 12 months when you see the actual calendar of the fights that are rolling out.
Everybody wants us to judge it in 12. Even Dana says the same thing, right? Dana says, judge me in 2027
Well,
and tell me how I win.
But Clay, real quick too, and I gotta hop in a couple minutes, but like,
okay,
that's the big thing. It's just like when you work internally, it's so easy to say something on the outside, and then you get a job internally, and you're like, oh man, how do I do this? Like, how do I explain to people? Like, because it's different. And I say this about, and HLDI made the comment about the CNN thing, because I say it in that world, in politics. It's real easy to campaign. Oh yeah, I'm gonna lower gas prices. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. And then you get to government, it's like, oh, it's a group project. Oh, this person don't want to do it. And it's the same thing here. And I just mentioned the fight where it drops out, and we thought we had one participant with millions of dollars being paid to him, and he didn't want to do it.
Exactly.
I can't force somebody to go fight somebody else. like I get what he's saying, but like I can't. It's not, the zone's not getting tricked out of the bag. I would take a little umbrage with that. Like the fighters at the end of the day know this is the platform. This is the hard line. If you want it, cool. If you don't want it, we'll revisit it. If you feel you can go somewhere else, go somewhere else. Where you want to go? You want to go be all up in the video with Suge across the street, bro? Go over to Death Row, bro. Like I'm not like the whole point is that we're trying to make the fights because we have people internally that vested interest in the sport, love the sport, want to see it grow. Hear everybody concerns wise on the price points, but they're not tricking us out of anything. We're trying to actively make the fights. We just don't announce certain things.
Right.
We do a job of like we announce it 9 weeks before. The Rolly Teo was announced July 8th. The fight was last night. I think my math sucks, but I think that's 9 weeks. So like, maybe we need to plot things out and schedule a little bit more. But like, in the UK, Worley and Dubois fought. Atalma is going to fight
next week.
Next week, yeah. But if he beats Herkovich next week, remember those are both Queensberry guys.
Then Frank Sanchez
next week. He could have a big fight against Dubois next. And
or Dubois, right? Maybe unification. Yeah, okay,
exactly. And we don't whatchamacallit. We're trying to make fights. We're not trying to impede people from fighting.
No, I think without a doubt, I've said that on this platform. Like, I'm very excited and happy about the zone's position as far as the Devin Haney deal, as far as the Teofimo deal, and I've heard rumors about how they were hands on with the Xander Zayas Jaron Boots Ennis fight, right? How they were very important to that process. They pushing the big fights. I love how they shot down the Virgil Ortiz, Errol Spence nonsense that Oscar was talking about, right? When they were like, we're not interested in that. We're not getting involved in that. We want the big fights. We just saw these guys have a legendary face-off, and we want to see Virgil and Boots. You know what I'm saying? We need to make that fight happen. I think that's what's going to take, and in the spirit of that, Mike, the introduction of Zuffa, the introduction of Turkey Al-Sheikh into the sport has done that, in my opinion, at a bare minimum. They stirred the pot. They forced networks to take a closer look at their product and be like, we aren't going to lose our work that we've done all these years to build up this reputation to some newcomer who's infusing all this money. Nah, we're going to get these promotional companies under the same umbrella. We're going to get involved with the matchmaking. We're going to destroy this across the street politics nonsense. And we're going to let these promoters know to get their asses in the gear that we're in a real fight now. And it's going to be fun or it's going to be painful. Either way. And even if it takes us giving network deals to the biggest stars and you guys can't keep your big stars because Zuffa's offering a big bag of money, then maybe we'll get involved in that conversation as well. We'll do what needs to be done to keep the biggest fights and keep boxing over here on the zone side. And I'm all for it. It makes for great content, Mike.
It makes for great content. I'll still have a job. I'll still argue with people. And I'm not arguing, by the way, with any of these folks here, but like, I hear all the concerns. I just started 6 months ago. So like there is a process to grow it, but we're not letting fighters trick us out of certain things. And we also know that we need to grow the sport. Growing the sport helps us because it means more subscribers. It means more eyeballs on it. My job is to really not only tell the story of the fighters, but like get them into the crossover audience space. I don't know if you saw, like Teofimo went and did interviews on like Sway in the Morning, Big Boy's Neighborhood. He did the stuff with AB and Dean. He was doing non-traditional things a few weeks before to help promote the fight to audiences that are on Kick and Stream or Twitch, excuse me. Like these are other platforms that a lot of folks, maybe you and I, we're older, but like I think you and I are older. I know I'm older.
No, I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
I might be above. I'm gonna be 50 next year. So.
Oh yeah, you way above. All right, never mind. But I'm gonna be 45 this year. But like,
You'll be so lucky to get these grades, Mike. You'll be lucky.
I shaved yesterday, but like that's the thing. We know what we have to do. We just have to do it. It's a slow burn up. But like I said, I think people, if you take a step back and you just realize, for years, DAZN had no sports in the U.S. market, in North America. 330 million people, including, and then you add Canada and Mexico, huge boxing audience in Mexico. And we have nothing but boxing. Like that's not gonna move the needle. We all agreed that boxing is maybe the sixth most watched sport here in the US?
Not one, that's for sure. Not top three either.
Pro 4, and you could put NHL down, move college ahead of it, football and basketball. Boxing's right there, even with NHL, maybe a little bit below. So like, we all agree it's sixth, maybe seventh, and that's all we had. Now we're adding 2 and 4 and 3 with NBA, MLB, NHL across cities. Like, we're trying to grow it. We're trying to get better at it. So my hope to all of you is my campaign promise, like I mentioned before. Like, come back. I'm gonna check in every couple of months. You're gonna see my face. You're gonna see a little bit of growth here and there, and I guarantee you will see us be better as a platform. And
don't tell them to read your lips, man. We don't like. Don't tell them to read my lips. Don't do that.
Some of your followers may not get that reference.
I know.
Some of you may not get that reference. Clay, man. First of all, I hate that I have to run, bro. We're editing over here. Here, Derek, flip that around. I want so your audience can see here. Bring up the laptops. Like, lift it up. Yeah. So you see here, we're editing here this Fight Night Raw show that airs tomorrow. So it's behind the scenes of when these guys came into the arena. It's interviews with folks and things like that. So this is what I'm working on now, and we're going to be editing all day here. So that airs tomorrow, 6 p.m. on the DAZN YouTube. Go subscribe to subscribe to the free stuff. DAZN YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We're pushing stuff out there first and foremost of the stuff that we're working on here to tell the story and highlights and stuff like that. So for the people complaining about the price, okay, fine. You don't want to pay for the pay-per-view? Can you at least do me a favor and sign up for the free shit? So that way, at least you're watching the stuff that we're making out here, because it is good stuff that we're cooking up over here.
Well, let me give you. HLD wants me to read this to you real quick here. HLD says, no, HLD is your biggest fan. I'm gonna let you know every time it comes. HLD is gonna be your biggest fan, right? HLD says no, and he's Puerto Rican from New York, so I love it.
Oh, great. So no wonder, bro. I'm Puerto Rican from the Bronx. No wonder.
Probably a Knicks fan and everything, man. But he says, no, I don't watch that trash propaganda channel. I saw you had a Jake Tapper book in your office, and that told me all I need to know. With the friend,
I think he's talking about the last appearance, because
he's talking about in your house.
Well, so as I hop off here, not to get on a tangent.
Sure.
Jake had me on his show years ago, gave me, at least a little bit of a nudge and start with TV. I get what, I don't know where this person leans politically. I'm going to assume they lean in a direction that is mad at Jake for writing books about Biden's decline. Maybe, I don't know. But either way, I get the sentiment. You can't please anybody in this world, as we're learning about the zone and boxing and the price points. So I know I put my head down, and if I wake up in the morning, I still feel right about what it is that I'm doing with respect to my content and the content I'm doing for the zone boxing and stuff like that, then I can feel good about myself. That's all I can do. So I get everything.
You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job, and that's them. That's the zone acknowledging, you're a necessity, right? This is part of a call to arms, right? They're bringing in the big guns. You know what I'm saying? They went out and they found them a Mike Leon. They're finding, you know what I'm saying? They're like, we need to get into these spaces and get a little bit more in touch on the ground level with what's going on to build up this product. And they're doing it, man. And I like what you guys are doing. I love the full access video. I'm looking forward to all of that. And I'm also looking to see how this TNT partnership goes. I love that. I love the numbers that Williams and Payton and Lamont Roach did, and what Abdullah Mason and Albert Bell did. And I'm looking forward to seeing more, man. As time goes on, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Appreciate you having me on, Clay. I got a HLD, bro. Keep watching my stuff, bro. Un saludo, bro, if you speak Spanish. All the other folks that hit us up, man, look, we're going to work hard, I promise, to try to get people into the funnel for a little bit cheaper. But in the meantime, there's free shit to go enjoy. Go subscribe everywhere. I'll be back for a check-in in a few months, Clay.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on, Mike. Appreciate
Absolutely,
you, man.
bro. Have a good one, bro.
Talk to you soon. Mike Leon, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Leon, DAZN, media. Full access videos, man. And just trying to address the elephant in the room, trying to make the product a little bit better. But guys, remember, we can't hold Mike Leon accountable for DAZN per se, right? He's not in a position of a Mr. Brighton, right? Or things of that nature, right? He's not moving things around that way, but he's playing his part, man. He's been hired, he's been brought on board to promote, to push these fighters is commercial value to their likeness, you know what I'm saying, to catch the best version and the best looks on the fighters, like some of your favorite fighters, HLD, and as far as Teofimo Lopez and Rolly Romero and Abdullah Mason and all the other videos that you've seen on DAZN. I would say subscribe to the DAZN YouTube channel as well, because they do a great job. He does a great job, and they do, because they hired him as far as they're making these improvements, right? And they're trying to add the value. And, you know, like he said, speaking on the New York Knicks being added to the platform and things of that nature. Okay, we got my other guests up in the back as well. Coach, yeah, we go. Perfect. My guy, Coach Hector Bermudez. We can dive into the fights here. Let me go ahead and I see you guys on the super chats, man. I have not forgotten about you guys. JD4321 in there, man. Shout out to you with the $2. Says will there be cross promotions with Zoo for Big Fight? We didn't get a chance to answer that question. And JD says, with the $10, says, you have future stars to fight in DAZN. However, the stars will gatekeep and not fight such fighters. High risk, low reward. Example, Rohan Polanco. Will DAZN allow such fighters to get an opportunity? I don't think he would have been able to answer that question in real time, because that's not what he controls. He doesn't really deal with the matchmaking. He just knows inside information, and he would, share obviously what he knows, but he's not really involved in that process. That being said, guys, go ahead, hold the space, don't leave. I got my next guest in the building here, and this one's going to be a special guest as a regular guest, family, really my co-host right sooner or later, if it's not now, at some point or another. But it is what it is. My guy, Coach. Oh, man, Coach disconnected. He has to get connected back. Coach Hector Bermudez was just there. He'll be here in a minute, man. He'll be here in a minute. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. He said, you missed my last super chat. Did I? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry, bro. I'm just moving through the comments here. Is it this one? No, it's not this one. Is it this one? Oh, Chico, 84510 with the $10. My apologies, brother. My apologies. I'm just moving through it so fast, man. My apologies for sure, man. I appreciate the support. It says Live Golf. The PIF who owned it just relocated that to own 35% of the new Paramount and WB merger. Oh, wow. TKO knows how to sell sports, entertainment, and like Hearn said, he wants to compete, so compete. Yeah. And I understand that, right? So they didn't get I didn't know that, though. That was good information, Chico. I really wish I would have asked him, confronted Mike Leon with this to see what he knows about it. But yeah, that makes sense, right? They didn't get out of Live. They just reallocated funds so that they can make the big purchase and get involved in that conversation, what's going on between Paramount and Warner Brothers. And on the back end of that, take control of a lion's share of the linear streaming space, right? I like that, man. Yeah, my community is lit when it comes to information, when it comes to being educated, when it comes to scholarship. You guys are I don't care. I think I'm going to give myself some credit and say I challenge you guys to do that. You know what I mean? This is a space where you can feel comfortable to do that. This is a space where those points are interesting points of conversation. Other spaces don't find these topics as interesting. So you guys don't get the opportunities to speak on things that way in other spaces. But when you get the opportunity here, shout out to the ATP combat community showing and proving that the boxing fans in this space really are interested in intellectually challenging conversations. You guys love it. You guys eat that shit up. You come up on the panel and you eat that shit up on the panels. You eat it up in the super chat. You eat it up inside of the chats. And, you know what I'm saying? I think people sleep on this community. And hopefully, you know, I'm be honest with you, hopefully this channel does that, right? Brings more credibility back into our community, because I believe our community gets a jacket of cutting down fighters, cutting down promotion, you know what I mean, just being toxic, right? Arguing and being crazy to each other, you know what I'm saying? But the reality is, you know, we know this boxing game, we watch this boxing game, and we truly want the best for this boxing game. We understand what it takes for this boxing game to get back on top. We understand the competitive nature of the sport and the importance of the best fighting the best. We don't protect fighters. We're not trying to get fighters out of fights. We're trying to put fighters into fights, right? Let's be real. That's our whole game plan is. We trying to get our favorite fighters into a fight. We the worst type of fans because we ain't trying to protect you. We ain't, you know what I'm saying? We ain't trying to protect. We're trying to throw you into some shit. We instigators over here. Shout out to ATP Combat Media. We the instigators of the boxing space. You know what I'm saying? We over here starting shit, making fighters get into it with each other and all type of shit, right? We want to see them fight. We want to see them fight. It is what it is. So while Coach Hector Bermudez is trying to get his technical situation under control, hopefully he comes back on. I know he's in the middle of traveling, guys. Coach is over there in the airport or getting ready to go to the airport, and he's trying to get a better connection. So hopefully he comes back up here because I know he wants to speak on that Yoeli Hernandez fight, right? We were just talking about that before as far as Yoeli Hernandez and his performance. And a lot of criticism towards the performance. People feeling like he has a lot of he got a lot of holes to patch up is what they feel like. I'm be honest with you, I'm gonna tell you guys up front, I don't necessarily agree with that. I agree with it to a certain degree, right? Like every fighter can get better. And guys, remember, 11 professional fights into Yoeli Hernandez's career, right? 10 fights under his belt as far as going into the fight last night. We got to remember there's prospect energy arguably still there. Right? There's an argument there to say that if he gets a title fight in his next fight, that maybe there's an argument there to say that Yoeli Hernandez is being somewhat fast-tracked, right? Maybe, right? Maybe some people would disagree with it. But that being said, man, a dangerous fighter, an athletic fighter, a fighter to me who showed a lot of wrinkles to his game last night and a lot of grit, right? A lot of grit because, you know, a lot of fighters, like you look at a Hamza Shiraz right now, who's in a conversation of trying to, you know, stay free and stay available to make a big money fight with Canelo Alvarez. Like you can bet your money, your bottom dollar that Hamza Shiraz is watching this Canelo Christian Mbili fight very closely and more than likely rooting for Canelo Alvarez, right? Because on the back end of that, he has every reason to believe that Turki Al-Sheikh is super interested in getting him a super payday and a big signature fight and opportunity to go against a Canelo Alvarez for a unification fight, right? There's an argument there to say that. Is he trying to move and risk his position to fight a Janibek Alakamuli, right? No, he's not. He's arguing right now about how disgraceful the WBO's position is on that and you know, how distasteful it is for somebody to come up on performance enhancement drugs and be rolled into and not only rolled into a championship position, a position to get a championship, but being mandated to fight Hamza Shiraz next with the threat of losing his title potentially for not what did Gustavo Olivieri say for not what's the word he used to describe it, for not properly dispatching his mandatory, right? Whether that involves paying money to Janibek to step to the side or, you know, obviously fighting Janibek. Why is he doing that? Is he scared of Janibek? I mean, look, an argument for that as well, right? Because why? Because Janibek and Hamza Shiraz had an opportunity to figure out at 160. Hamza Shiraz moved out of the way of Janibek and jumped into a conversation with Carlos Adames, and we saw how that performance went. So maybe there's an argument there to say that Hamza's just scared of Janibek. But there's also an argument there to say that why risk that position? Why risk fumbling the bag? Why risk being tricked out of your position you work towards where you can get this big payday and get this signature fight with Canelo Alvarez? And look, I'm saying all of that not to be long-winded. I'm bringing that full circle to say that last night, Yoeli Hernandez did not need to fight Francisco Verhon. He is in a position where his next fight is going to be for a title. He's probably going to be looking at Denzel Bentley next. He could have picked a lesser opponent or maybe even just protected his position like Terrence Crawford did when he got the Canelo Alvarez fight, right? Terrence was like, no tune-ups, no fumbling, no unforeseen injuries, no excuses. I'll just wait and I'll fight Canelo because it's worth it. When it comes to that Canelo Alvarez payday and that opportunity, you move around accordingly, right? You make the right moves. But Yoeli Hernandez didn't do that. He jumped into a very competitive fight. he jumped right into the fire against a very gamed Argentinian fighter who only had 1 defeat on his record. And hindsight shows that he could have easily fumbled that opportunity. He could have lost on the cards last night. Anything could have happened last night, because that's what happens when you get in there with a very gamed opponent. And he did that with Francisco Verhon last night. So me personally, I recognize these things and I say, Yoeli Hernandez shows that he's what boxing needs. He's good for boxing. He's what boxing fans like this community want to get behind, because he's not ducking smoke. He's not getting out the way. He's jumping in front of the competition no matter who it is, no matter what's on the line. He's putting it on the line. And that's what it's about for me. But look, I'm going to throw the link out in a second, because I'm definitely interested in what you guys think about that as well. I don't know if Coach is coming back up here. Let me see if he sent me a message or something, or let me see here. Bad connection. I'll send him that message and see what he says. I know he might be in a bad space, man. Maybe the Wi-Fi is not working over there, or things of that nature. Maybe he'll pop back up. I'll put the link out in a minute. I want to talk about one more fight here with Gary Antonio Russell here. Let me see here. Let me see what's going on in the chat here, man. Let me see here. Raphael says he got exposed. He said Yo-Yo got exposed. I don't know, man. I don't see it that way, man. I don't think he got exposed, but maybe he did, right? And that's why I want Coach to come up here, because I'm going to say that on the back end of him being exposed, I'm okay with that. Well, then it should be easier to make the big fights, right? He's food. If he's food, it should be easier to make these big fights, man. It should be easier to put these things together, man. Sock Chaser says Hamza got to go unify, then rules are rules. Yeah. It is what it is. It is what it is. Shout out to the Nigerian Nightmare in the building, man. What's good with you, man? Low Key says RoboCop was tough to take down. Oh, they were talking about maybe the MMA fights last night. I didn't get to catch him yet, man. Says I watch UFC, but it has to be a big fight. Okay. Yeah, shout out to the Nigerian Nightmare. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Let me put the link out there as well as I segue into this Gary Antonio Russell conversation, man. I thought Gary Antonio Russell, there's a link, by the way, if anybody wants to hop up. I only got about 30 minutes left before I'm going to end this live here. I got stuff to do today, man. Got laundry, got things drying, got clothes to fold, and I'm hungry. My wife cooked something that got the crib smelling crazy. I want to see what the hell that is. What the hell is she doing in that damn kitchen, bro? Because she's fucking shit up in here right now. It got me hard to focus here. Hard to focus up in here. It smells like, you know what I'm saying? Roof Chris up in this bitch. You heard? It smells like Roof Chris up in this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? With the butter, you know what I mean? With the garlic butter. And if you know, you know. You heard? If you know what Roof Chris is, you know what it is, man. Shout out to my brother Drew in the building. Drew, what's good with your family?
Oh, what's good, brother? How you doing? Assalamu alaikum.
Wow, wa alaikum salam. Rahmatullah barakatuh, family. Hey, Drew, that's you in the picture? And your dog?
Yes, me and my dog, yeah.
Okay, no doubt, man. That's the homie, man. He looked like the homie. The way you taking the picture with him, he looked like the homie.
Oh man, he's a chick magnet, brother. I don't even have to try.
Oh, let me find out you out here, you know what I'm saying, getting the swag from the dog, using the dog to get the ladies, man. Come on, man.
His name's Sancho, so it's even better.
Oh, no, man. The story sounds crazy, man. That's a great icebreaker, huh? Sancho's an icebreaker.
Yeah, because they automatically ask, what does that mean? And you tell them what it means. They're like, oh, that's cute.
Boom. And you're like, I know it is.
Exactly.
I named him after all.
Exactly. Then they see the dog dad with like, okay, you take him to get pictures. Took him to take pictures with Santa. I'm like, you know the vibes. You know it's calculated.
Yeah. early. It's chess, not checkers, baby. It's chess, never checkers, man. We grown out here. I got you,
but Clay, man, last night's fights, man. But then you add the Amanda Serrano card. It's just let's be honest. We love boxing, but the inactivity or the activity schedule these current fighters have, we are not seeing the best athletic performances from them just because they're not doing it enough.
Right.
Last night, Teo and Rolly, I mean, can we honestly say that was entertaining pugilism?
No, man, I was disappointed. If you didn't get a chance to catch last night's live, man, I was having a bit of a rant up here. You know what I mean? I was definitely making it all about Rolly, man. You know what I'm saying? I was very disappointed in the performance. I was definitely, you know, it threw shots at so many different things. It just open wounds, right? That never get a chance to heal, as we're talking about like sanctioning bodies and how they move their titles. And we're talking about, you know, pay-per-view paywalls and things of that nature. You know what I mean? It's just like never ending, right? These wounds will never close because right when we might even want to celebrate an event and celebrate a good match, here comes an event like what happened last night where we see, you know what I mean, arguably our money be taken from us, right? And stolen from us as we watch Rolly Romero hold his punches, not let his hands go. You know what I'm saying? Move, you know, use movement like all of a sudden. I mean, I was comparing his performance last night to Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez. I'm like, this dude just is not going to engage.
Nope.
But, you know, but had his moments where he hurt Teofimo, cut him on his eye, hurt him. Those weren't even motivational enough for him to commit. Like, you know what? I got him now. Maybe I was going to fight on the movement. Maybe I wasn't gonna, but yo, he's hurt now. I'm gonna go for no, he just didn't go for it. Yo, super disappointing on the back of a pay-per-view paywall.
And on top of that, I'll add to that, is this is the ultimate tier content you're trying to sell us, DAZN? That's your ultimate tier. That level of performance, and then it made me think I like Moses Atamo a lot, Clay. But he's only 21. He's already moved to a 2-time a year pay-per-view fighter only. Like, what is that? Like, come on, like that's and we're gonna have to pay for that. A UK fight, that's pay-per-view for us too, if we want to watch it in America. Right. That's ridiculous.
Right. It's definitely a call to arms, man. It's a call to arms for DAZN to justify. And like I said to Mike, man, and you know, and shout out to Mike Leon, man. I really appreciate him coming on the platform. He didn't have to do that and really just kind of like, you know, subject himself to having to answer a lot of questions, you know what I'm saying, for DAZN and try to make sense of everything. But, you know, even he had to keep it real, you know what I mean? He did keep it real about his position as far as his membership with DAZN is concerned, right? As far as his ultimate membership is concerned, he kind of was transparent about that and he didn't need to do that. But, you know, that's part of the conversation, you know, the addition of the New York Knicks, the you know, bringing a Mike Leon on board who worked with HBO Sports, who worked with ESPN Sports. So I'm saying to bring that missing maybe element towards the story building and trying to find a way to build this value up behind this paywall, right? To make this make more sense as time moves forward. I would argue that the Abdullah Mason, Albert Bell, that the Williams Zepeda, Lamont Roach was 10 times better events for free on TNT than the paywall $80 pay-per-view we saw last night. Would you argue that?
Absolutely. And if we keep having that discrepancy, or just like the even bigger fights are getting thrown off platform, I'm getting to see a bigger star in Ryan Garcia on Paramount as part of my ad-free $13.99 subscription. And I'll add to the fact, Clay, Tio won last night. He got what he was paid on his first new DAZN deal for Rolly. You don't think he's going to want more money having Keith Conley as his manager to fight Devin Haney? And then we're right back to where we started. Like, we're boxing fans that know the business. So I know Tio is not going to take what he just got for Rolly for Devin.
I think it's a set deal though. He's got a set price. Who's going to play? Look, man, it irked me hearing my man Mike, because, you know, to the casual person, when have you seen anywhere in corporate freaking America where they set up a price point and then say, oh yeah, but we're going to bring them down later? When have you seen that?
Right. And that's why I asked that. I'm like, are we saying that we're expecting this to come down as because I never seen that before. That's what my position on it was like. So you're trying, you know what I mean? Like, are we saying that as are we spreading the wealth now? Like, is they're making more money? Are they going to give back to the boxing fan and say,
those Jake Chappers, those Jake Chappers, they talk about equality and spreading the wealth, but they, you know, it ain't true. You know,
I mean, we can't even HLD. We can't even put our own DAZN pay-per-view from the same IP address and Wi-Fi connection in multiple screens in our house. Come on.
No, man, come on. That's why it irked me, because I it's not his job. I mean, his job is really what, promoting or right? Is that what it is? Spreading the content, I guess, is what it is. So I mean, I'm gonna put it on him, but don't Don't sell me this Kool-Aid. I ain't drinking.
The funny taste in Kool-Aid, man, got that funny medicine taste.
Yeah, bro, it don't taste like Kool-Aid, man. It's saying like Kool-Aid from somewhere.
You're like
it's the off-brand, the flavor.
Yeah, the flavor, bro. Yeah, there you go.
I've never really been a Tang fan. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's never been my thing, man. I'm into the, you know what I mean? Like,
you really in the trenches. You really in the trenches if you got the low budget Kool-Aid, not even the regular Kool-Aid, the Flavor Aid.
Hell yeah, bro. You know what I'm saying? I gotta add sugar to it, and I gotta add all types of lemons up in there and try to make it into something that it never was meant to be. You heard?
That orange is tasting different.
Yeah, man. A Sunny Delight. I've never been a big Sunny Delight type of guy, tang kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? That's never been my thing, man. I was always strict Kool-Aid, but it is what it is.
It's only gonna get more expensive. They added on the New York Knicks. I think they added on the Yankees to that. That only means one thing.
That's exactly HL. That's what I thought to myself, right? I said to myself as they're adding on, and when he spoke about the expenses, right? I knew that was what it was, right? If you're gonna sign, Teofimo to a $20 million deal and Devin Haney, however many millions you've committed to his conversation, and I'm assuming, like I said to him, I'm assuming they're gonna do the same thing when David Benavidez closes out his contract with the PBC, when Virgil finishes his contract with Oscar De La Hoya. I don't see those guys going back to re-sign to these promotional companies. They're gonna go out there and search big deals, big network deals. You know what I'm saying? $50+ million for X amount of number of fights, maybe even $100+ million for whatever amount of fights. That's what they're going to do. And if you're not going to compete in that realm, you're going to lose your fighter, right? You're going to lose David Benavidez. Believe it or not, as much as David Benavidez has made his position clear on how he feels about Zuffa boxing belts, blah, 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 and all these situations, clearly Zuffa is making a home for the fighters who want to still be in a traditional space. They made a home for Edgar Berlanga to still be out here campaigning to become a champion, unify, and be undisputed. Richardson Hitchens, same question, same thing. Jai Opetaia, same thing. Eventually the story will make more sense to a David Benavidez who's not only looking at, becoming a champion, but also looking at becoming rich, right? You know what I'm saying? These conversations become way more.
Clay, did you hear? Did you hear Jose Benavidez Sr. last night?
No.
We're really open now to the Zuffa fight. I mean, the Jai fight, all this. He even showed screenshots. It's all over Twitter. He showed DMs towards Turkey about wanting the Usyk fight next Cinco de Mayo. Like, the tune has already changed. Changed.
All right. So like I said, the money makes everything start making sense, right? We start hearing differently when the money starts coming onto the table. All of a sudden, I didn't know that. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, no. Okay. No, I was thinking something totally different, right? Now that you've spoken slowly to me and acknowledged my public high school education and taking the time to really, talk to me slowly, I'm processing it better now. The comprehension has went from here to here now. And now we're talking. We're back.
I'll say this: after watching Jose's interview, that lets me know Mauricio made the right choice. And David and his team were like, "Damn, Noel McCallion is going to make more fighting Jai than I'm going to get fighting Cieslak."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what makes these conversations interesting. You know what I'm saying? But last night was not a good look for an $80 pay-per-view. It was not a good look for, in my personal opinion, for DAZN, right? I thought that, DAZN looks way better on the back end of an Albert Bell, Abdullah Mason card. They look way better on the back end of a Williams Zepeda, Lamont Roach card. They just look better because it's free damn near with TNT. The fights are all hitting. They're delivering. That's a good look. A bad look is putting $80 on it and then giving us what we got last night.
Yeah, they got to figure this out. They got to figure this out. Now, I don't know, at least for the American market. I get, look, the zone outside of the American market is big because, everybody's into all the other stuff that they got in that. But for America, either they make just a boxing, just a boxing app type of thing and bring this shit down to the $15 a month and call it a day.
You're right. HLD. If we were in Europe, fellas, we'd get DAZN for NFL, MLB, some UFC stuff, for everything.
Yeah, like right now, the way they got it, there's nothing else I watch on that shit. It's just there's nothing else that I watch in this shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I mean, this shit is, right now I think it's I think I just saw that's on PBB. They're saying that the NFL is about 1,000. If you want to watch all the NFL games, it costs about $1,050 a year now. Well, I mean, but is the NFL a lot more? I think I'm getting more bang for my buck watching that than what I'm getting out of DAZN. Watching just boxing, because football is just more entertaining as we speak. It's more to see. So I don't know. They're trending up in that way. The more they're adding to it, the more it's going to cost us. And the Americans, as always, we're going to pay more than everybody else.
Yeah, that's what we're here to do, man. That's the biggest commodity America has is its citizens, right? The consumer value. That's what we bring to the table. Everybody else brings corn or fertilizer or liquor or they bring that.
Your first world bias is showing. Your first world bias is showing, Clay. I mean, because at the end of the day, though, fellas, our market might be dwindling, but the fighters, the sanction bodies, even the networks like DAZN, they still want the U.S. dollar more than anything.
Facts.
Yeah.
We are the consumers, man, and that's the leverage. That's the power we bring to the table. Is we make you rich. You know what I'm saying? China ain't China if they don't got America to put their tag behind every damn product that we're buying. You know what I'm saying? They manufacture, we buy, man, and the same thing goes with DAZN. They produce the product and provide the product, and if we like it, we buy it, and that's what moves the scale and dictates the terms as far as what success looks like for a company like DAZN, who's charging us the most money than anybody else in the world as far as that DAZN subscription price is concerned. Yeah, it is what it is. Hey guys, what did you guys think about just getting into the card a little bit, just bringing it full circle? I thought that the Gary Antonio Russell fight was like a real quality level, high level fight, man, and it just made me super interested in Gary Antonio Russell's position in the 122-pound conversation when it comes to like a Bam Rodriguez coming up to 122 or even whatever's going on in that division, because Bam is a great fighter. He's a superstar in the making. He's one of the most talented fighters we can produce over here in America, but without a dance partner, a legitimate dance partner, and I'm saying he's just kind of like good entertainment, but he needs that partner. I like what I saw with Gary Antonio Russell. What do you guys think?
You for the most part would always like what the Russells bring to the team when you see them on fight night, but it's hard to get excited because they're not active, and so it doesn't we're not gonna see it, like I said last night, we're not gonna see this guy till 2035 again. You know what I mean? So like what's the point?
and that's my only issue, Clay. Like you're right, everything you said, I can't argue with anything you said. You're right, but is he gonna take from both his other brothers' modus operandi and only be a once every 12 to 14 month fighter? Because then what is there to get excited about?
Right.
Until the Russells prove otherwise, I can't give them the benefit of the doubt. I just can't.
Great fighter, great talent when you see him. Even though Antonio, I forgot what fight it was not too long ago. He looked, he wasn't looking anything like he did last night. But again, you see, that's a problem with it. No activity there. It's just
no activity. And then Clay, like let's say you were their manager, Clay. I know you would have damn well would have had the Russell brothers headlining a local card over there in their neighborhood for the last 5 years. At least 5. Yeah, they would have been a legitimate draw over there in DC.
They're the real DB3s if they want to fucking they would have.
There you go. Yeah,
they're the real DB3s. They're better than they're better than all of the Keyshawn Davis's brothers up together. So but no activity. I don't know if that's the PBC way or whatever it is that they got, but there's they look 140 Russell. He could have signed to DAZN, but he decided to resign with PBC.
Yeah, man. Hopefully with the PBC under the DAZN umbrella, and I'm here. I guess we could be anticipating at some point for them to put closure to this whole entire Amazon deal. The way it looks, and be exclusively over at PBC. They signed a fighter last. They had two of their new signed fighters fight last night. One in Carlos Utria, and the other one in that Marco Romero fighter. I thought Marco Romero was a good looking. It was not good looking like physically, but I mean as far as what he's doing inside the ring, a good looking fighter. Got that guy Khalil Mitchell clean out the way. And at 154, man, I like the possibilities of a new up and coming star like him, a new up and coming fighter becoming a star with activity. You know what I'm saying? That's the way you got to do it for him. Hopefully they keep him active. I thought Carlos Utria last night took that L for sure. Thought that was some PBC home cooking right there, that they took that away from Israel Mercado. But hopefully the PBC, more importantly, bringing it full circle to say that I'm hoping the PBC gets their fighters more active now that they have the platform. It looks like they have the network in the zone that's willing to give them these opportunities, and hopefully they use these opportunities to push these up and coming stars, man. And Gary Antonio Russell and Gary Antoine Russell are hopefully going to get a good focus because they have the ability to do more for the PBC and boxing than they're doing right now, for sure.
I was hoping they were just gonna get absorbed. Just let them let the sink, let the ship sink, and let their fighters just get absorbed by everybody else and call it a day. I have no faith in them. Whatever it is, we'll see. If they do good. But no expectations. No expectation.
I agree with you. I agree with you, man. So I know what HLD. I'm pretty sure I know how HLD feels about it. Excuse me, but Drew, I'm interested in your perspective on Yoeli Hernandez. Like, I was not. Shout out to the scrutiny. It's okay. He's got things he needs to work on, but I didn't feel it was that bad. I feel like the fans might have been being a little too hard on Yoeli. But then again, like I said, maybe I'm just not as objective as I'd like to be. Maybe the relationship with Coach Hector Bermudez. Maybe I saw Yoeli was half Haitian. I didn't know that last night, and I'm Haitian. Maybe that has affected my unbiasedness, right? So I'm looking for some perspective, and I don't know if you have any to share, Drew, on Yoeli Hernandez and that performance last night. Oh, he's muted. Maybe he's
muted.
Yeah, he's.
But real quick, my perspective is not that. No, it's not like what I was hearing. No, it's not like that. You got to give credit to this other young man, bro, because he came to fight. He came to fight. But is it fair to say, yeah, I saw some holes? Yeah, I did. He got rocked too. Hey, don't forget he got rocked. So yeah, there's holes that needs to be fixed in his game. If anything, my only criticism is his moniker, bro. I don't want to invoke positivity in that name. You know what I mean? I don't like the moniker. That's about it. But everything, he's an entertaining fighter. He gives you what you want to see, and that's that. There's holes in his game, yes, and that's all there's to it. But I'm not gonna say that he's. I heard somebody say in the chat earlier, exposed. What the hell are you talking about? You know what I mean? It was a great fight. You got to give credit always to the other guy that's across the ring. The other guy was game. He was really game. He was able to eat his shots, which was very surprising. And so which we don't see often from everybody else. Everybody else gets beat the F up by this guy. I mean, he trashes them. And and we didn't see. So I got to give credit to this Argentinian. He came to fight. And so, I'm just gonna say, yeah, he's got things to work on, and I wish he put away the showboating and all that stuff. Just put that away until you're on top of your game. You're like really on top of your game, and then we can. But in a fight where you're in a tough fight with someone who's bringing it to you, ain't no time for that. Ain't no time for that.
No doubt, man. Listen, I'm excited. Look, 160 is not popping like that. You know what I'm saying? 160 just ain't jumping like that. I think he's still one of the biggest. What's this here? Let me see. Disconnected game. Go ahead and disconnect that. Disconnect. I think that he's one of the most dangerous fighters. You know what I'm saying in the division, man. And I don't know, man. Like, my thing is, if he's food, line him up. Don't leave the easy money on the floor. Don't leave that food on the table. You know what I'm saying? If your fighter is ready, you know what I mean, chase down Yoeli Hernandez. I'm looking for Yoeli Hernandez to get the dance partner. I want to see.
What was it great for you for last night?
What was what?
What was your grade that you would give Yo-Yo?
I give Yo-Yo like a B, right? Yep. Or maybe a B minus if somebody wants to say that, but I'll say a B. And I only say that. And I think there's a reason for the B. I think people aren't acknowledging the fact that, there's pressure on these fighters. You think about being in Yoeli Hernandez's position, a fighter who doesn't seem to be able to get the break that he may feel he deserves at this point, right? Being number 2 in the middleweight division. He gets an opportunity to co-headline a pay-per-view event. DAZN, PBC puts enough faith in him to put in that position. He wants to lock that position in. So I think he got caught up in the entertainment value of the fight last night, right? You saw him trying to be athletic, jumping all these shots, you know what I mean? Slip shots, keep his hands low, you know what I mean? Do the Jerron Boots Ennis thing. He tried to deliver that type of a performance last night. And I think there was those moments in the fight that he may have exposed himself a little bit more than he normally would in front of a fighter who came to win, who did not come to lay down. That Argentinian motherfucker came to fight last night. He was not giving up. He was letting his hands go. He was changing levels on the punches. He was applying the pressure. He was taking the big shots from Yoeli and coming forward. He was not trying to lay down, bro. And he wasn't. And that's what Yoeli ended up in front of last night. And it ended up turning into a more competitive fight than I think people thought it should have been. That's what I think happened.
Every time you thought that this guy was going to, okay, now he's going to break down. No, he came right back with it. So that's why you gotta give the other guy credit. This is boxing, you know what I mean? There's two guys in the ring. It's just not one punching bag and the other one just swinging at him. No, it's you got to give credit to the Argentinian and all this I don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's just he's only got 10 fights. You know what I mean, right? It's 10, 11 fights now with this one. So there's time, but I think he's lined up for the Bentley fight, and one or two more fights, he's gonna be lined up for a title shot. So,
I'm hearing he's lined up. I'm hearing the WBO. I talked to Coach Hector Bermudez a little bit about it, and I'm hearing that there may have been a tweet out there from the WBO on it, and that he is in line for the Bentley fight next, if not the next fight afterwards. Like he's right there to get a title shot. So yeah, man. Look, man, he could have listen. And I talked about it earlier. I talked about Hamza Shiraz and how he feels about this Janibek situation and, his opportunity that seems to be right around the corner for him in the Canelo Alvarez, being that Turkey has shown interest in putting money behind that fight for Canelo and for him. It's a big payday and a big opportunity for him. He doesn't want to put that on the line and risk it right now by getting in there with a high-level fighter like Janibek on the back end of, why is this guy my mandatory, right? Like, what the fuck? This guy's my mandatory now? He was just on performance enhancement drugs, suspended. He didn't even fight at 168 yet. Now I got to fight him or lose my belt and lose my leverage that I have in the negotiation, you know what I'm saying? Or in the conversation of getting a Canelo Alvarez fight next. Yoenli could have taken that position to a certain degree, right? Yoenli could have been like, I'm not fighting that. That Argentinian come forward. Coach said it. We did the video research on him. We knew what we was dealing with. We knew that he was a game opponent. Even though people didn't know him like that, we knew that this guy was not coming to lay down, that he was going to be a hard fight. But Yoenli showing that grit to say that, we don't walk away from smoke. We don't turn down smoke, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what we do, bro. So we're going to get in here and fight the shit out of this dude.
And it's an opportunity. He's on not the biggest card of all, but he's on a big name. He was on a name card, so I mean, you can't turn it down. I'm good with it. I'm not. It's a B. Exactly how you got. I got a B. It's a B performance, and there's things that could be worked on, and that's that. But the guy's stock hasn't dropped. I don't know, like what the hell.
All of a sudden this dude became a hype job. Like people are just like, he got exposed. This dude will never be able to do it with a Devin. He'll never be able to do it with a Virgil or John. He better stay away from the big dudes. He's still not. I'm like, damn, he's all that. It was so funny because it feels like a month or two ago, he was the boogeyman. When we talked about Yoenli, we were like, we just waiting on him to get a chance. He's gonna beat the brakes on everybody up in the division. Now he went from there to, this guy's food. He better stay away from anybody with a heartbeat.
It was it a performance of a fight that compared to what we've seen before? No, we've seen different, and like I said, you got to give credit to the opponent, and so I mean, this kid ate it all. So look, man, it is what it is. It's a B performance. I do still want to see him again. I got no issue with that, and bring him on. I mean, hopefully he gets that title shot, and we'll see. We'll then see where it's at. We'll see what it does with a Bentley. And hey, with Virgil Ortiz coming up to the 160 now. Chris Manick said yesterday, his source said, he expects Xander Zayas to be back at 160 in February.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Coach in the chat right now, having a bad connection, having a hard time coming up here. He's got bad Wi-Fi where he's at, but he says he stayed in the fire and handled business, man. 100%, Coach. And we gotta have that conversation. I don't know if we gotta do a special live or something, maybe tomorrow morning or in the evening tonight. Maybe we might go back up, but I need that conversation with you, Coach, man. The community needs that conversation. We need to know what you think about what he did. How would you grade his performance? And, just give us the intangibles that we're not aware of to give us some perspective on what we saw yesterday in that ring. You know what I'm saying? The up close perspective.
I mean, the way I mean, people trying to make it like he was fighting like Rolly did and shit. Like what are we doing? Yeah. Like what are we doing?
He stayed in there and cooked, man. He stayed in there and was like, "Boy, you punching? I'm punching too. That's what's up. Oh, you punching? All right, man. Well, let me get the punching too. We fighting then. It turns out we fighting. I guess you know what I'm saying. It turns out we fighting. I didn't know. I thought I was gonna beat the brakes off you, but yeah, it turns out we fighting. All right.
I wish you had asked the one question to Mike about what's next for Devin Haney. What is he doing?
Well, did you hear about Devin Haney's mother?
I heard that this morning. I heard that you said it on the live earlier.
Yeah, man.
Condolences to the Haney's family.
Very.
But like any what has been said before, before this news is there.
I mean, from what I understood, there was a negotiation with Jack Catterall that wasn't off the table, and it seemed like that was a fight that was going to make sense for Devin. And it sounds like there may have even been a potential lineal championship on the line, being that I think Jack is 3 in the division. Brian Norman Jr. is number 2, and being that he already beat Brian Norman Jr., if he would have beat Jack Catterall, that would have given him a lineal championship as well in that title defense. So it looks like that was going to be the next option for the Haneys, to go down the lane of like legacy again, right? Like, okay, paydays is one thing, but let's do legacy because it seems to be the next best thing that we can do. I don't know if that's still the case, if they're still trying to do that on the back end of this tragic information that we just heard. You know what I mean? I don't know what to expect. We just got to wait for a formal announcement of one way or another. In my opinion, there's a chance that Devin may not fight in 2026 at this point, right? Like there's or towards the end of the year at least, right? I don't know.
Yeah, look, I'm not whatever he needs to do to take care of, the emotional trauma that such a loss causes. And I can't imagine, because I haven't been through that yet. So
he's got it right. We're
right.
older. Like I'm almost 50 years old, and I still got mine. You know what I'm saying? So I can only imagine at 27 years old, to say that is unexpected might be an understatement, right?
Condolences. What? So was it his mother or his grandmother?
His mother. His grandmother already passed away from cancer, a couple years ago.
Oh, okay, man. Yeah, man.
Young woman.
So look, man, whatever the young man needs to do to take care of his emotional state and mentals, hey, if it's not till next year, then it's not. I mean,
somebody called me last night. From the team called me up and was talking to me about him, like, oh, he gave me a heads up on it, like, yo, this is what just happened. You know what I'm saying? It's and I didn't want to announce it. That's what I was telling you about. I was like, everybody's like, what was that about? I'm like, it's not. I'm talking boxing up here. I'm not here to cover nobody. You know what I'm saying? That's an announcement for them to make. But since they formally made the announcement, I guess today.
Hey, I guess Shakur Stevenson was listening to your show last night.
Why? What Shakur say?
Because he repeated the same thing I just said on tweet. Check this tweet out. And put in the private chat.
Okay, hold on.
About Teo.
Yeah, shout out to Teo, man. Hold on, let me pull it up here real quick here. Oh, let's see here. Share. Are we looking at it? Okay. Shakur says Teo has some sort of ability to make other fighters not throw a lot of punches and move a lot more than their usual style. I've seen it with Loma, Ortiz, Santa Martin, and now Rolly. Nonetheless, Teo did what he could with the style that was presented and got the job done. Yeah, man. And Shakur's good at doing that, by the way. All the criticism that Shakur gets, I've seen him do this multiple times. I've seen him multiple times
say so.
Celebrate fighters for accomplishing things and being like, nah, man, that dude doing his thing. And obviously there's victories in there for Shakur. He's one of the last fighters who sees an advantage in his opponents being successful later, right? He doesn't tear him down later. He loves the more success they get, the better his fight with them ages, right?
You learned that from Floyd, man. You know what I mean?
yeah, man. The best to ever do when it comes to that, man. The best to ever do it. What's
hey,
going
man,
on?
Bro, that's all I had for you, man. I just wanted to get my 2 cents with Mike Leon.
Mm-hmm. It's about that time for me anyway. I'm about to close it up. You know what I'm saying? I got to move around. I appreciate you coming up as usual, HLD, man. I appreciate you, man, pushing back at the narratives, bro, and making sure that truth, you know what I'm saying, holds the weight that it's supposed to hold, man.
At least my truth.
Yeah, that's what counts. That's all that matters is your truth, man. That's all that matters, bro.
Hey, Clay, man, good as always, man. I appreciate you always, man. Keep it pushing, man. You're doing a great job. Everybody hit the like, hit the subscribe. On the Claymore Range Show. Peace. No
doubt. Peace, man. Salute to everybody in the building, man. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. We had a great show today. Unfortunately, Coach Hector Bermudez did have some technical difficulties. He wasn't able to come up here, man. We missed out on that one, but I'm sure we'll revisit it on the next show when he gets an opportunity. He'll come up here and talk about the event, give us some perspective on how that whole entire experience was. Great fights on the card last night. Shout out to Mike Leon, media director over there at DAZN. He came up on the show as he was editing. You saw he had the whole team in the hotel in Vegas getting another production ready for tomorrow to be dropped on recapping the event, and he found a moment to go ahead and hit the link, come up here and build with the community, man. I always am so grateful, right? I'm in such a grateful space when somebody at that level in the game takes a moment to go ahead and build with the community. I hope you guys appreciated him up here as well, whether you agreed or disagreed, or, you know, however you may feel about how the zone, whatever it is, whatever position you might take in that conversation, always, you know, be grateful that we get, you know, this platform has earned enough respect to get somebody like that in an executive position to come up here and communicate with the community and let us know what's going on with the network and with the sport and their plans for the future, and giving us something to look forward to see and see how it's going to turn out, right? I appreciate you guys, man. Congratulations to Teofimo Lopez, man, crowned new WBA, maybe super, or I guess regular, or is he a super WBA champion now? And I think Jack Catterall still holds that regular belt. So we'll see what his next moves are going to be. He says he's not looking at any title defenses. He's looking for unifications. So I don't know what that means for Jack Catterall. I don't know if that puts Jack Catterall on the outside looking in, or, you know, I don't know, man. And then, you know, condolences to the Haney family with the bad news coming out on Devin Haney's mother, man. I don't know how that influences his activity for 2026, but in either way, like my brother HLD said, hey, man, tend to the family first, tend to properly mourning first, and then, you know, boxing will always be here. We might not see Devin Haney for the rest of 2026. You know, that's unfortunate. We would love to have seen him be more active this year, but hey, man, you got, you know, priorities, right? Priorities. So that being said as well, though, Jack Catterall, you know, maybe he's floating around a little bit right now, right? He doesn't get the opportunity to fight for a lineal and WBO champion against a Devin Haney, who might not be ready to make another fight happen just yet in 2026. And then, you know, on the other side of it, we don't know what that means with Teofimo speaking on not defending the title, only fighting for unifications, only looking to fight the other champions. We got big fights coming up, a big fight coming up this week. We got Pro Box on Saturday, and in the dates or at nighttime, and in the daytime, we've got Philip Ergovich, who'll be fighting for his first championship, an IBF championship against Moses Atama, right? Sorry. Well, Moses Atama fighting for his first champion, both of them really, right? But that's going to be a big fight, a big fight for the heavyweight division. Definitely looking forward to see that fight. You know, I mean, you guys know how I feel about Moses Atama. You know, I think he's the future of the heavyweight division, but he has to show and prove, right? And I hope I'm not eating crow on Saturday. I hope he's able to pull that out. And shout out to Philip Ergovich, who I know is a well-deserving champion as well in his own right. If he doesn't make it with Moses, he'll make it at some point or another. He's one of the best heavyweights out there. But you know, I'm looking forward to see the stylistic clash. The undercard looks like it's going to be a great undercard as well. Looking forward to that. And of course, we got Pro Box on Saturday night, and we'll be watching Lester Martinez and Najee Lopez. And, you know, we'll be covering it all right here. That's what we do. That's one of the best things we do is cover boxing, live commentary action over here at all times, man, right? Looking forward to all that here. Hold on a second here. I think we got Coach Hector Bermudez with the $10, man, supporting the grind, man. I appreciate you, Coach. Thank you, man. Coach says, shout out to all my fighters. Don't let the noise get in your head. Keep working, keep growing, and let your hands speak. Congrats to Yo-Yo and Avius. That's right. Avius Griffin on Friday night. Oh, man, we didn't even talk about that. Avius Griffin, Amanda Serrano. Oh, man. Jamal Harvey, man. Oh, my goodness, bro. What a performance. Jamal Harvey with a knockout of the year candidate performance, man. Jamal Harvey up and coming. What is he in that 130-pound, 126, 130-pound conversation? I don't know where he's floating around there. Man, he's doing the work, man. I'm looking forward to see big fights with him, and, like, you know, him versus a Keith Colon, right? Or, you know, up and coming fighters in those lighter weight divisions, even a Tony Hirsch and all those guys, man. That's another conversation. I don't want to open up another can of Pandora's box here in conversations, but boxing got so much going on. I'll never understand how channels will focus on one or two fighters when boxing is always buzzing from every angle, every aspect, from the business, the stylistic matchups, to the women, to the men, from the lightweights to the middleweights to the heavyweights and the welterweights, and so much going on. We can't even cover it all here on the show. We can't even keep up with what's going on the show. We can't even cover it all. So how could I focus all my energy on one fighter? And most of the time, from what I can tell, fighters who aren't even actively fighting. Disgusting, man. Or as Hamza Shiraz would say, disgraceful. It's the audacity for me. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. I appreciate you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Until the next one, guys, it's your boy Rain. It's at ATP Combat Media. And at this point, we out.
Yeah, I can never doubt myself, I know better. All of you critics be acting like you know better. Blowing the smoke, but I know when the dust settles that I'm in my element. It's evident that there's levels to the game. All of those dark nights I got there, breaking my back to make it out, got me feeling like pain. I ain't never need your help, I know you wishing me well. A penny for your thoughts, but seeing no change. I snap for the sun like Diddy. The riches got a mad ass son, I'm like Billy. I ain't never switch up, whole team with me. But known for my city like OAGZ. Set the pace as long as you finish. Consumers find a way inside your business. Babble if they try to dabble in it, and they hate the fact that they may have to witness. You try to aim for the top like this, and you're in your element with a fire like this, and they hoping you fall and they praying you miss, but it's all in the risk. I got you with the switch, you know.
I'm in the zone. Give me the throne. One shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know. Foot on the gas. 155 on the road. You could be a friend of me, an enemy. Keep that same old energy, cause I know I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. Keep that same energy. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah.
I'm in my element, flow is like water. I'm forced through the fire, I'm feeling like gold. Gotta stay grounded, stay down to earth, following God, and you grinding, you do as you told. I don't work to make you like me, but I'm front and center, word to Spike Lee. And God came in the nick of time. They think I'm crazy, but I might be. Let's run it up, run it up, run it up. We beating the odds, this is sum it up. You know it's a rap, never waistlines, and I'm cutting the weight like a tummy tuck. That mean I'm about to give it out right now. You see what's coming down the line, I never pipe down. I give 100% and be trying to stun on my enemies, and my element is crazy as the mic sign.
I'm in the zone. Give me the throne. One shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know.